Right, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the
Oh,
stream.
so we're not doing a starting soon. All
We
right.
we just did. It was a couple of seconds. That's
We
why
had
I asked her.
we had 5 minutes still.
Did we? Well, you know what? Hey, we started late last week. We'll start early this week.
We're
You know?
not ready because I thought you were just clicking starting soon.
No, it'll be fine. Be all right.
It's a way to set me up for failure.
Listen, okay.
Way to be a blue
How are
falcon.
you? How, how do you ever expect to to improve in life if you don't ever get challenged? Okay. You know.
Blue falcon. What?
Anyway, so how we doing? You were saying something about how we hadn't had a chance to talk in a while. Lay it on me.
Well, first, I'll give you a little gift here.
Ooh, a little gifty poo.
There you go.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Uh,
Sure. Gift denied. I'm sending it back.
no, I was just gonna tell you about the trip we went on.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about it. Let me hear about
How's my camera? Like, way the fuck over there. I don't understand how I used to have my camera. Shit. Oh God. There we go.
it.
That
That's
worked.
about right. Yeah, that's about right.
Now you can see the operation.
You got something printing on the resin printer right now?
No, ain't nothing moving.
Yeah.
I got my lunch plate on top of the FD printer and
Oh, okay.
nothing. The stack of multicolored filament.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So, well, first, I was just gonna recap just with you, but since we're live, I guess I'll tell everybody about our little trip.
Yeah. Talk about it.
Wasn't gonna. It's not part of Rum News. Just me.
That's okay.
We went to Eureka Springs. It's a little tourist trappy town, little like downtown walking shopping area, and you know scenic views of the Arkansas hills and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing to your computer? Let me go hit Crystal's computer with a stick. Give me a second.
Oh, okay. So, chat, you may be wondering kind of what I'm looking at if I'm not looking. I'm looking in a downward a lot. I have some news to announce. The dice making has begun. I've made a couple of sets already. Most of them have been failures, minimal failures, but failures altogether. Um, that's okay. I'm learning. I'm sanding down probably one of the best ones that I have so far. It's like a seafoam green and gold. Really pretty. So, see, we'll see. We're getting there. We're getting there. How's everybody in chat doing? Who we got with us today? Speak up. How y'all doing? These technical difficulties brought to you by RUM-Gaming.
That was weird. So we had a power flicker earlier and the computer shut off, and
Mm-hmm.
wife went to turn hers back on, and like one of the case fans was like half spinning, so it was like and the two GPU fans weren't spinning at all. So just shut it down, turn it back on. Now they're all spinning normally.
Yeah,
It's
that
like it tried.
usually
It's like
fixes it.
it's like it tried starting at half power or something. Like I don't know. It's kind of weird. Anyway, what did I miss? What were you talking about?
Oh, I was just saying that the dice making has started. Working out some kinks in the method, and then once that's done, I might be able to give some away.
Oh,
So that should be nice. Should be real nice.
so the trip. Yeah, I was just going to point out that we went. It was our last summer getaway.
Hmm.
Because we kind of just pumped the brakes after quite DreamHack. We went to DreamHack and then like didn't really do much else. Besides like going to Tulsa. Or like stuff we would do anytime
Normally,
throughout the
yeah,
year.
yeah,
And then just came down. I was like, man, like we really need to do something. Like we normally take some kind of summer trip, and because we kind of broke the bank buying a washer and dryer at the end of May and going to DreamHack at the end of May, it was kind of
yeah,
just a little tight to try and go on another trip.
yeah. Bad timing.
But we made it happen and just went to a little animal safari thing where they rescue big cats. And
Ooh,
well, not all big cats. I mean, bigger than a house cat, bigger than Gizmo that's stored in the stream here.
Gizmo.
And that one bear, and somewhere on the property there's a hyena somewhere. But that was pretty cool. It's nice to see all the cats and stuff that they've rescued from around the nation. Some were even from the Tiger King whole operation.
Oh, really? Did you
Um,
watch that show at all?
no,
No, I did, man. I thought that show was really interesting. I enjoyed it. I really genuinely enjoyed it.
yeah, I might have to watch it one day. It's
It
just
was good.
all I've ever seen is the clips and memes about it.
Yeah. No, it's a wild, wild story, man.
I imagine. What did we do after that? We went to eat, and then it started raining. So we were like waiting out the rain, kind of hanging out and whatnot, and then
Being bums.
went to the downtown little strip to do some parking and walking shopping. It was interesting. They were having a little festival down there, so there's tons of people and music and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then we went to a magic show that screamed concern the whole time. From the moment I ordered the tickets to the moment we pulled up to when we walked in. So, as you do when you're taking a family on a trip, you Google, things to do in that area and try and plan things out, pre-buy your tickets and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they said they had a magic show, and we've been to a magic show in Branson. That's the huge one where they like make a helicopter disappear on stage and whatnot.
Yeah. Like
And
crazy shit.
yeah, and it's like 100, 200 or more. I don't know, big auditorium for that place. Because the
Right.
stage is big enough to hold a helicopter. And so when I went to go book this one, and like the total available seats was like 50.
Oh,
And like the VIP tickets, there was only like 8 available, and it was only like $10 more. And it was like, gives you a more inclusive experience and more than likely to be part of the show and whatnot. I was like, fuck it. $30 more for the whole, total ticket cost. Why not?
yeah.
So about the VIP tickets, and we had been up and down like the entirety of Eureka the day on Saturday, uh, because there's no like Walmart or really any like fast food or anything like that in the town. It's the next town over,
Right.
but it's only like 5-10 minutes of like straight road to get there.
Right.
Well, just due to like dumb luck almost, we had. What'd you do, kid? Like minimize my tab. Um, Due to like sheer dumb luck, we've been back and forth to that outskirt town like 8 times that day. Just like, and due to kind of just driving around, passing time and stuff, like we went up and all the way to each end of Eureka, went to that other town like 8 times, like, felt like we'd been everywhere,
Yeah.
and then we punched in the GPS after dinner to go to the magic show, and it is like it turns us into, like, what seems like a neighborhood. I'm like, "Okay, maybe this is just, like, a shortcut to the other side of town or something."
Yeah.
So it's like a left and a right and a left and a right. Like reminded me of when we got to like the Airbnb in Dallas, which
Oh,
is like
yeah.
in the middle of a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's like we roll up and it's like we're like on top of the point on the GPS and it's next to this like crummy little rundown church that looks like that little church from The Walking Dead
Yeah.
where they met the preacher guy.
Yeah.
It's like that small.
Oh god.
And it has like a little like standing glass display sign outside that says the name of the show. And I was like, shit, this is it. It's like pull in the parking lot. There's only enough parking for like 12 cars.
Oh, fuck.
Pull up, go to walk in. We walk in. It's literally like they cut the inside of this church like in half. And it's just little like wooden, almost like dining room chairs, like
Boy.
40 or 50 of them in front of
Oh,
this
boy.
little stage that looks like a elementary school stage that has a pre-built wall on it that has like maybe a 10-foot cutout on it.
Mhm.
So it's like 10 foot of wall, 10 foot of hole, 10 foot of wall across this stage. And I'm like, man, like this looks like something you would expect to see like a puppet show come out on or something.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, like what did I buy us, man? Like, jeez, I'm trying to have this last hurrah, and I'm over here like it reminds me of like you remember from the Goofy movie where they go to like the mole rat
Yeah.
jamboree or
Yeah.
whatever. Like that's what it felt like I was at. I'm just like, oh Lord.
What have I done? Ugh.
But it was actually like probably the best experience with magic I've ever had.
Oh, yeah?
Because the dude did like every type of trick you see at the big magic show,
Right.
but it was right there, like 10 feet in front of me.
Yeah, you gotta
And
love that.
he did them all and got Grace involved a little bit in the beginning. And then I actually got up on stage.
Oh, shit?
Yeah, he did a voodoo doll skit where I was the victim of the voodoo doll.
Oh, boy.
Had me sitting in a chair, front center on the stage. Well, he poked a doll, and I just had to point where I felt something touching me or poking me.
Did it work?
And I mean, as far as everybody in the audience was concerned, yeah, I'm pretty sure I knew what was going on. But he like blindfolded me and just said, "All right, I just want you to point wherever you feel me touching you with this long like stick he had."
Uh,
But he wasn't touching me at all. He was sitting at the corner of the stage poking the doll, and then I'm sitting there pointing on me where I felt something. And it's because there was like somebody behind in the shadows, like whipping a thin cloth at me or something.
yeah.
But it was really fun, really surprising to, and it was crazy. Like you're 10 feet in front of it. I thought, man, I'm gonna be able to see what this guy's doing.
Yeah.
I might finally understand, because yeah, the whole thing, like, because his wife of like 22 years or something is his, uh, the
Assistant.
other person on, assistant, but she's also like the contortionist that can like hide inside the box that he's cutting in half and
Yeah.
all those kinds of tricks. And it's like, man, when you're sitting there like 10 feet in front of it and still have no idea what's going on, just like, God dang.
That's how you
But
know he's good.
yeah, that's all I was like, man, went from like, no way this is gonna be good to a really cool experience that, I'd honestly would go back to. But yeah, that was my whole story. And then we went to the giant statue of Jesus on Sunday. It's like 100-foot tall Jesus statue.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was just something swing by, take some pictures of. Yeah. It's a whole ordeal, actually. I mean, if anybody's religious or into, I don't know. I mean, it's not just Christianity, but they have a whole like park or garden or area you can tour,
Mhm.
and they put on like a live play show and in like an amphitheater area. Like, it's a whole big compound that you can just drive through and make a donation to go to the statue. That's all we do. I was just kind of impressed, somebody that's not super religious, to see that there's this almost like a mini theme park for
Yeah.
Jesus. It's like, wow. But
Theme park for Jesus.
yeah,
It's
it is interesting.
like Graceland. Tacky.
Uh, but yeah, I want to share that. As far as the printer, you're asking me about whether it's giving me problems to learn on. The printer itself is not. Um, the cleaning station, I use 99% uh, isopropyl alcohol. It's like medical grade alcohol. Costs like $10 a gallon.
Yeah.
And when I was doing the research on all the resin printing, it was like you can either use water or regular alcohol, but the best finish, like it leaves the smoothest print with the least amount of residue, the best quality job you're gonna get is with the medical grade alcohol.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, screw it, let's make the investment, And I went on like Amazon, found a good deal to get 4 gallons at one time. And all the videos and stuff I watched was like, like 1 gallon of this stuff, once a year, you'll need some. And it's so cheap, you might just throw it away. But there's also ways to filter it and reuse it if you really want to save money.
Right.
And, like, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And at 4 gallons, like, it should be good
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
Well, it's honestly been averaging like 1 gallon of alcohol for every bottle of resin that I go through
Oof.
before it gets like too dirty to effectively work.
Right.
So I've been looking up ways to filter it, and there's a lot of different ways. Some people said you can just literally just run it through a strainer, the same strainer you like run the resin through to clear out any gunk and whatnot. And I tried that; it did absolutely nothing. And then so I did more research, and it was like, well, if you just put the bottles in like a glass jar and put it out in the sun, resin cures via sunlight. So if you do that, it'll basically just harden all the resin residue down to the bottom, leaving pure alcohol at the top. And I'm like, oh, well, that's easy.
Yeah.
I'll just do that. And like these things came in like clearish plastic jugs, like milk jugs. And I'm like, I'll just put the alcohol back in here and go put it outside. And like the videos, they just leave it on like the windowsill. They're like, you can put it as direct or indirect sunlight as you want. It'll just speed up the process.
Right.
And I'm like, no problem. I'll put it on the back porch.
Yeah.
Done. Put it on the back porch. Came out like the next day. It literally looked like 2 gallons of milk. It had turned from like a clear, cloudy mixture into a white mixture. Like it looks like milk.
What the fuck?
And I'm like, well, that didn't work at all.
Yeah.
So,
Somebody's full of shit.
yeah. So I'm like, well, maybe it just needs more time because it's in a plastic container instead of a glass, clear jar.
Right.
So I leave it out there longer. Nothing. I've left it like on indirect light in like the dining room for the last couple weeks. Nothing. Still milk. God dang it. All right, fine. Back to the drawing board. Do some research.
Yeah.
So I research and I'm, finding all kinds of crazy methods. And I'm like, I'm not going that crazy. I'll just buy more alcohol and
Yeah.
try to be more careful. But I found one that was like, holy shit, like this will be a game changer. They make these filters that you can buy, varying degrees of micron filtration.
Mhm.
It goes all the way down to, I think it was 25 that I bought, 25 microns.
Right.
And it's literally just an insert for the top of a 5-gallon bucket. So you just put this filter that's the size of the mouth of a 5-gallon bucket on there, and then you just pour whatever you want to filter into it and just filter into the bucket. And like I watched this dude in the video, he like took some dirty ass resin, poured it in there, and he's like, yeah, it's still a little cloudy, but it's got all the resin out of it. Like it's discolored, but it's still
Clean.
pure resin
Yeah.
or pure alcohol. And I'm like, oh man, this is a game changer, man. I'll be able to do. And he's like, when you're done, you just wipe out the residue that's in the filter, and you're ready to reuse over and over and over.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh man, this is a game changer. I'll be able to do gallons at a time, and then just clean this filter up, put it on the shelf, and a couple months later, do it again. So I order one. It's like $20 for a filter. It finally comes in the mail, and I'm like excited as shit. I grab both gallons, pour one in there, and I can hear it just you know, fast dripping, just drip, 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 going through the whole filter. Like it just sounds like it's doing like a cup a minute. I'm like, all right, this is gonna be great. Grab the second gallon, pour it in there. I got it filled to the brim on this filter, and it holds like 2 gallons of liquid in this insert. And I, loosely cover it with a lid just to keep the cat out of it or whatever.
Right.
And go and like sit down, talk with the wife, watch a show, or whatever. I come back like 20, 30 minutes later, and it hasn't gone down at all. And I can hear it just going like drip, drip, drip.
Clogged it up.
I'm like, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I just gotta, kind of move it around, kind of like debris in a drain.
Yeah.
So I put on a glove, I go there, kind of swish around, drag my fingers on the bottom of the filter, nothing. I'm like, what the shit, man? Like, all right, so I start scooping out the freaking alcohol with a cup and pouring it back into these jugs, because I got 2 gallons in there at the moment.
Yeah.
So I get all the way down. There was just like a couple cups in there, and it's just not going down like at all. And
Mm.
I got to realize like it's actually so clogged, I can't just swipe it with my fingers. I have to like drag my fingernails across to get the
Oh
residue to come off.
God.
And I'm like, all right, that kind of sucks, but whatever. I got like plastic spatulas. I can make this work. But for now, I just use my fingers. I sit there and I drag, 4 fingers like a, as you can see on the stream, just
Scoop.
4 fingers
Yeah.
at a
Just
time.
scooping it.
Well, but I'm scraping. So I'm scraping with 4 fingers at a time, just across the entire filter. I get the whole filter, as clean as I can, scraping it off. And then I actually took some of the alcohol that had already filtered just to kind of see if it works because it was still cloudy. So I
Yeah.
took a scoop of the already filtered alcohol, put it back in there, and it's still not going through the filter.
Damn
Like
it.
even after I scraped it all off, I was like, "Well, what the shit, man?" Like,
What is
so I
bullshit.
effectively filtered out like 2 cups out of the 2 gallons that I have, and it cost me like $20.
Oh no.
I'm like, I could have just bought 2 more gallons for the cost of the dang filter that I just bought.
Oh,
So,
no. So the filter's just ruined?
yeah, it's garbage.
Fuck.
I'm returning it.
You return.
Yeah, that's a piece of shit. It's supposed to like last you like tons of uses, be reusable. It's supposed to be like cleanable and reusable. And like
The
I
very
filtered,
first thing I used. I
yeah, I
couldn't clean
filtered
it.
2 cups worth of liquid, and it was like, nope, I'm done. I'm like, well, this is pointless.
Get fucked.
So I'm returning that, and I'm gonna try the glass jar method. So I ordered 4 1-gallon glass canning jars, and I'm gonna try that. I'm assuming that it's just because it was the cloudy, milk jug type material that it just wasn't enough, like like it was filtering out the sun almost.
Yeah.
Because I watched several videos about the glass jars, and like it's legit. Like they put it on a shelf like near the window, and it was like thick, cloudy resin. And they came back like 2 days later, and it is like clear. You can see through the other side of the jar alcohol and just residue at the bottom.
Well, hey, every method that you've looked at so far said the exact same thing, and it didn't work. So,
Well, the other one, well, sort of. Again, the first time they did say jars, and I was like, nah, these jugs will be fine. Like, that one's kind of on me. The second one,
well,
though,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, he says it works, but I'm like, who knows? Maybe he had some stuff that wasn't as dirty, or who knows? Maybe me getting at this half milky mixture made it worse. I don't know.
yeah,
But we'll find out. Worst case scenario, I'll have the jar. I mean, worst case scenario, I'm assuming I did screw up the alcohol, and I'll order 4 more gallons.
try again
And
next time.
well, and then I'll know. I'll just go straight to glass jars. Like, all right, glass jars, sunlight, go. And then if that doesn't work, I don't even know. The point of that though was like the hassles that I've had. I've only had this thing since like March,
Hmm.
and so many learning curves. It's cost me, easily another like $200 in learning curves
Right.
from breaking shit, damaging shit. And now I'm over here, with the alcohol, like can't find a way to get it clean. And it's going to cost me, more. At this point, like it's going to cost, 10 times more to give away a resin print than it would be an FDM print.
Yeah.
Like, well, granted, FDM can't reach that quality when it comes to, the best use of our dollars to the people we're trying to support. That's, we got to keep that in mind. And
Yeah.
hopefully I can make this work. Otherwise, we might have to have a discussion about maybe just trading it in for a high quality FDM printer.
Yeah. I
But
mean, I don't know. I like having a resin printer because it's just nice.
yeah, it is. But I don't know. Or try, just try some of the more cost effective methods. Like I said, it doesn't, it's people say you can use just water. So, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
could always try that road out. But we'll see. Like I said, there's learning curves. I'm also just now learning about the draining process, putting in a drain plug hole in the models when I print them. So my plan is, make like a good like quarter-inch size hole and just leave it mounted upside down. Like print something and just let it sit for like 6 hours.
Right.
Just drain as much of that resin out as possible because that'll do two things. One, it'll give me more resin to print with. That's not wasted resin, and it'll be less dirtiness on the alcohol.
Yeah.
It'll both give us more resin to get more prints and make the alcohol last longer. So two birds, one stone by just learning how to do the drain plug process properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun times. Um, the other thing to recap and talk about was we talked last week about trying to go to like flea markets and conventions and whatnot. We're putting out our feelers to try and find some that we can afford to go to because we quickly found out that a lot of the vendor costs for these things are outrageous.
Yeah. Very steep.
Like, couldn't even believe. Like, we looked at one for Gen Con, which is like the America's largest board game convention. Everything. Oh, board games. How much could a board game convention table cost? Yeah, it was the most expensive one yet, to include double the cost of the Tulsa State Fair.
Damn.
So I can get a booth at the Tulsa State Fair where I mean, I guess it's just the entire state versus people from across the nation going to Gen Con, but
Yeah.
still, a statewide giant state fair was like $1,000. And that's for like a week, mind you, because the fair is in town for a while. It's like 7 or 10 days for
Right.
$1,000. It's not like $1,000 a day. Gen Con, which is like a 3 or 4 day event, was $2,000 for a 10 by 10 area. Like they'll provide you a table and a couple chairs, and that's it. And I think you had to like pay extra if you want power. Like, it's like, oh my god, like two.
Highway robbery.
I'm just thinking, like, who is paying $2,000? Like, yeah, you're gonna get a lot of word of mouth, but man, the amount of like board games. Like, let's say you have a $50 board game. When you take out the your manufacturing cost after that, let's maybe say on the high end, it only cost you $10 to make that $50 game. You're
Yeah.
making $40 profit. God, dude, you have to sell hundreds of them just to recover from the $2,000 cost, just to have your booth there. Yet
Yeah.
alone your travel, your lodging, your food. Like,
Yep.
I mean, guys, so you're looking upwards of like it's going to cost me 3 grand as a board game vendor to have a booth there.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, like, is it worth it? I mean, I guess it is because, you know, obviously they're filling up spots. But man, as a small time, group like we are, it's like I couldn't even imagine. Like, there's no way I could ever sell enough 3D prints to cover that, or dice, or anything we bring to that table.
Well,
I couldn't.
dice are interesting. I've been doing a lot of research on the dice market, and realistically, startup it costs a lot to get started. But once you have everything, pretty cheap to do,
Yeah, I mean,
and
so is 3D printing.
You could sell them for a decent amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, same thing with 3D printing. You think about it, like a standard dice tower is going to cost me like $2 to make, and I can sell it for at least 10.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a huge profit margin, but it's still,
also
we're talking.
oversaturated market.
Well, even if it wasn't, I have an $8 profit margin to make up 2 grand with.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I mean, yeah, it's a huge profit margin. It only cost me $2 to make it, but by God, I have to sell so many. Same thing with the dice. It's like, yeah, even if you sold them for say $20 a pop, and you had a $19 profit margin, I'd still have to sell a couple hundred dice to make up that profit margin,
Yeah.
or not make it to make up the cost of the booth. So, it's, if anything, it really makes me want to go to Gen Con next year and just talk to some of these vendors and be like, how are you making this work? What am
Yeah.
I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Like,
Like, what do you know that I don't?
yeah. I mean, on one hand, I get it. It's like advertising, Thousands of people are going to go through Gen Con and pass by your booth and take a card or whatever, and they'll come buy the game later.
Do me a favor when you're at Gen Con.
Well, you could probably go with me. It's not till 2024.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, it just happened last weekend, like while we were at Eureka Springs. It was going on
Oh.
in
Okay.
Indianapolis.
Gotcha.
So,
I thought it was like coming up in like a month or something.
no, no, no. I wish I would have. If I would have known it, well, eh, maybe we would have went. We were trying to not have our last trip be like another convention because we go to conventions as a family all the time. Um, but yeah, I still sent them a message though, like, hey, explained, who we are, asked if they have any, you know, special rates for
Yeah,
nonprofits that
I
just
saw
want a
the
basic
email.
table.
I saw the
Yeah, but our
email.
stream didn't.
Yeah.
So, just saying, we're gonna start going to the Dewey Flea Market nearby here in town, up in Oklahoma. If anybody wants to stop by, we'll be at the one at the I think it's the first or second Saturday of October.
Hmm.
I'll post it when I know. But we're gonna start going to that, which is why I got the stack of filament boxes back there. I got purple, green, orange, brown, and 2 grays.
You didn't get any of the rainbow rolls?
No, I have a rainbow roll around here somewhere. I probably should get another roll of that.
Or at least
It's
like a
pretty
pearlescent, like one of the, like, pearlescent ones, something interesting.
well, the problem with the rainbow rolls, well, it would work with the dice towers. It doesn't work with everything because it's like several feet of one
Yeah.
color at a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So, like, when you go and try and make, something like a Yoda doll, it's going to be like 2 of the colors are going to make it onto it.
Yeah.
So it's got to be something tall or wide or bigger for you to actually get the full advantage of the rainbow
Yeah.
rolls. Um, but I do have one. I think I made Garrett's replacement part out of it. Was the one thing I made. I thought I made something else, but I don't know. I don't have it on the shelf or anything, so I'll have to look back through our camera footage see if I can find it. But yeah, I think I still have like half the roll in the drawer here. I'm like a filament collector. This one of these whole drawers down here is like half a rolls, whole rolls.
Do you keep them dry with desiccant?
uh, well, yeah, just the little packets that come with it. And I save these from like bags that I,
Yeah. Yeah.
completely go through. So like, I just keep adding to them. So they end up with like 4, 5, 6 little packets per bag.
Yeah, I was in my research with, trying to figure out the issues with mine. I went down the filament rabbit hole. I was like, maybe it's the fucking filament that I'm using that's just giving me issues. And I've learned that having a dry box for filament is actually pretty useful,
Can be.
especially if you have like a lot of it, like what you do right now. Like you've got a lot of it. There's no way you're going to be using some one of those rolls. Is going to be like a month and a half, 2 months before it gets touched.
Yeah, well, maybe because I'm going to be nonstop pumping stuff out. But uh, what I've learned is it's kind of hit or miss, and it depends on the manufacturer. There are some that are, I don't want to say poorer quality, but because I imagine there's a lot of factors that come into play that I have know nothing about.
Yeah.
But I've had some like it was a Texas company that sold the giant rolls. It was 5,000 uh, kilogram rolls.
Mm.
And I tried one of those because I'm like, oh, more bang for the buck. I'll be able to just keep printing and printing and printing. And just could not get that filament to print. And it was almost like the same frustration you were having recently. We're like, I'm trying everything. Like I'm trying glue and hairspray and cleaning it and leveling it and trying different methods, just everything I could think of.
Yeah.
And it
Just
just wouldn't print. And
spaghetti
then I
against
like,
the fucking wall, man.
well, and then I just like swapped it out with an old roll I had and boom, instantly printed the same thing I was trying to print because I was trying to print like a Benji or something. And it was just like, bam, here's your Benji. Like you piece of shit. I've been sitting here for hours and hours and hours trying to get this roll to work. And turns out it was just a shitty roll. And
Yeah.
it's like sometimes you just get that. But I've also had some that are just finicky, where I've learned that a lot of the like silky materials, like shiny materials,
Yeah.
have to print hotter. Same thing with a lot of the more darker colors. So I primarily print out of white. I find that white or black, like one pure solid color or one way or the other, has almost no issues. But when I tried to print out of like purple, it was losing its mind. Tried to print out of like metallic purple or silky purple, even tougher. Like I had to increase the temperature by like 10, 15 degrees
So,
before it finally prints properly.
so I'm using a baby blue. Like, do you think maybe if I like up the nozzle temp,
Yeah, that's
it'll
what I'm talking
help?
about. That's what I had to do.
I might try that then because that's the biggest issue I'm having is just adhesion. And it's like it's either my bed's not level or the shit just isn't sticking. So I really couldn't figure out which.
Yeah, that and I think I told you last week, like with this, I use the circuit board material on top of mine instead of glass because it started off with glass
Mhm.
and went with the circuit board material because it's supposed to be that you don't have to put any adhesive like glue stick, hairspray, whatnot.
Right. That's the same thing with mine.
Well, I found that even with this, some of the things I print, well, I think it's also because I think I told you last week, I have that aluminum tape to
Mhm.
make it perfectly level because the actual bed itself is warped.
Yeah.
And I think what it is there's certain like colder spots where that tape is. So even with this
Oh,
circuit
yeah.
board, I'm having to use glue again. It's kind of irritating, honestly, because it was depending on what I print. I either go from I don't have to print any or use anything to sometimes apparently I have to use glue. I think it just depends on where the object is, you know. So like when I was doing the bigger dice towers, didn't seem to have any effect on it. But when I was doing these little cookie cutters, it was like curling up on one end because it
Yeah.
wasn't hot enough to keep it there.
Just not happy. Yeah.
Um, but as far as the moisture thing, I've had rolls that I've proved that it's practically a myth, and I think it's just really dependent on the moisture in your house for one.
Yeah.
Because I've taken rolls that I've literally like sat out for months and fired up the printer and started printing, no problems. So, but then I've had others that will sit there and you can almost hear it popping if it has too much moisture because it's literally boiling that moisture when it gets into your hot end. So if you can hear the filament heating up in your hot end, that means there's too much moisture in your filament. So I've experienced that too.
Is there a way to save it? Can you just like throw it in a bag with some
Mm,
desiccant and
no, the theory from when I researched about that is you can technically put it in the oven on like really low heat, like lowest it can go, and put it in the oven for X amount of time, and it'll slow cook the moisture out of it, basically.
what about a dehydrator?
Yeah, maybe,
Bust out
but
the
I
jerky
just,
maker, boys. We're fixing some filament.
but I mean, filament's so cheap, it's negligible. Why go through all that hassle and you just buy a new roll?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
If you know that's the problem anyway. Like, if you're hearing the popping sound inside your hot end, it's like, all right, fuck it, I'm throwing it away. Buy a
Yeah.
new roll.
It's a lost cause.
Or, or if you just bought it, return it and be like, hey, it's popping. Clearly, this came moisturized. Give me my money back or a new roll.
Yeah, the only thing I want moisturized around me is my hands, right?
Yeah, I thought you like me when I'm moisturized.
Oh, well, that's a different story. We're not supposed to talk about this.
As long as we don't go into detail, it's safe for the
Listen,
stream. Man.
what happens at QuakeCon stays at QuakeCon. Okay, leave it. God damn it.
Yeah, but what happens at DreamHack doesn't.
We're s- shit. He found a loophole.
We didn't make the pact at DreamHack.
Son of a bitch.
Uh, anyway, to get on, to get back on our rant about 3D printing. Yeah, I got all these colors, and I got like 50 files that I think I showed you that are ready for the store or
Yeah.
the booth. Just a lot of simple things like flexible print and place flexible objects, like the face hugger and whatnot, little octopus, and some cookie cutters and those like puzzles
Hmm.
and a couple like wine bottle holders. Some few things, things that I can pump out that are still quality and good looking, that are more to a universal audience that's going to be coming to a general town flea market.
Right, right.
And
I
that's why I got the different colors because I got a poop cookie cutter, little poop emoji.
nice.
That'd be cool to print it in brown. And then Oklahoma has two football teams. One its colors is like orange and white, and the other one's red and white. And I already have a little bit of red filament, but I obviously have the white filament. So I figured I'll print like the one team in white and the other team in orange.
Yeah.
And the green one I got just because there's a couple like dinosaurs and stuff. And I was kind of thinking like boy color, girl color. So I got purple and green.
Right.
So I print like some of the flexible animals in purple, some of the flexible animals in green.
See, those are
Trying to,
that's what's cool for like the pearlescent ones is like those flexible animals and like the rainbow one.
yeah, yeah. I've seen a lot of the like rainbow dragon, crystal
Yeah,
dragons, and
yeah.
whatnot. So I need to try and print one of those, but I got a couple models for them.
I had a really cool idea for this dice stuff because I want to sell like a or I want to make like a themed set. So, and the theme that I want to do is Magic the Gathering. So I want to make like a matching dice set for each of the two color Magic the Gathering houses, like Selesnya, Boros, Rakdos, Azorius, Orzhov. And then you could, you could buy this individual house that you like, or you could buy a complete set, and it's got, dice from every Magic the Gathering house. And then I could do the same thing with like WoW classes.
Yeah,
Like, but there's Paladin dice. Here's your Warrior dice. Here's your Hunter dice. Here's your Death
or
Knight
more like
dice. Here's your
well, so you could also just do like D&D classes like that too.
well, yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm kind of a D&D snob. I feel like if you're gonna get D&D dice, if you're gonna get dice for your character, you want something that speaks to your character, not your class.
yeah, yeah. To each their own.
Yeah,
The colors for your class might speak to your character.
yeah.
So like already gonna be running out of time. I don't know if we'll have time to go over our whole actual topic.
That's okay. We
Well,
can.
your list is short. Mine's a little bit can be a
Yeah,
conversation starter, but we'll see. The whole point of our stream today, the topic that I came up with, was to tie into a future topic that you brought up of want to do like a bio stream or a
yeah,
biography stream to let people know about us and whatnot. More individually, not RUM-Gaming, but who each of us are with our
yeah,
background and whatnot. And, I thought, well, that can be condensed down into, 1 week about me, 1 week about you, or two in one night or whatever.
yeah.
There's some things that could go more into depth, and an interesting one that I always like. It's a mixture of like pride and shame at the same time when I can say how many jobs I've had.
Well, I think
But
I think it'll be cool because it'll really kind of it'll really kind of solidify why we title this podcast what we do. Like
yeah,
there is such a significant difference in a lot of ways between the both of us, but somehow we have a lot more similarities than we do differences.
yeah, it's it's funny because like I'm always half joking, half serious about my memory going out, and I swear sometimes it's like the older I get, the more I just start things start slipping away until I like read it or see pictures or some kind of proof, and then I'm like, oh shit, that did happen.
Yeah, it like
Just
unlocks it.
like yeah. So even though like I made this list like semi recently and I've shared it with somebody semi recently, still when I was looking at it today, I was like, oh dang, I forgot about that. Like, uh, so the list was the list of taxable income jobs that we've had in our lifetime.
Yeah,
And as well as, a few honorable mentions that weren't taxable but are still interesting jobs that we've had.
yeah.
Um, and a little bit of precursor to that, for those that don't know, I'm turning 40 this year. And Jason, you're turning what?
I'm turning 30 this year.
Are we actually exactly 10 years apart? Why did I
Exactly
not
10
know
years
that?
apart. Yeah, exactly 10 years apart.
For some reason, I thought we were like 8 or 9.
Nope.
Okay. That's actually, we should add that to the stream description or something, or down in the panels. Uh, Anyway, yeah, so we're exactly 10 years apart, and
Well,
it's crazy.
we're like, by a couple of days.
Well, yeah, still saying mostly
Yeah.
10 year. When is your birthday again?
Mine is October 14th.
14, yeah, so we're 6 days apart.
Yeah.
6 days shy of being exactly 10 years
Yeah.
difference. Um, but it's crazy that, just in that 10-year period, I'm pretty sure my job list is like 3 times longer than yours.
Probably. Probably.
Maybe, I don't know, 'cause you do kinda hop around to, like, 17 mechanic shops for, like, a year there, but
Yeah. Yeah.
depends on whether you wrote all of them down or just
Oh, I
said
wrote them all down. I didn't
various mechanic
again,
shops.
I didn't write anything down. It's all in the noggin.
Right.
I remember all of it. I haven't forgotten a
Nah,
single place that I've worked, not once.
got I got too many things to remember, because mine goes back to essentially junior high, but anyway, so I'll go ahead and go first, and then maybe you can just chime in, either when it's something similar or around the same time period. Well, granted, age period, I guess, not time period.
Yeah.
Or time period. I mean, be curious to know what you were doing when I was like already on my eighth job when your first job started.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead and get started. I wanna be silent for a little while because
because
you've got
I'm
about 10
old, I get
years.
it. Jeez. So, the first one, while it already breaks the rules of it being a taxable income, still technically consider it my first like real job slash entrepreneurship. So, starting in junior high and going through almost like my junior year of high school, I ran my own lawn mowing business. And it started off with literally like the one push mower that we had at our house and like one little shitty electric weed eater
Mhm.
and just knocking on doors. And our gimmick back then, which would be a little bit more now, but back then it was $20 for everything. Well, for the minimum or the maximum. $20, just a flat rate mowing lawn care service.
Yeah,
And we would mow, weed eat, rake and bag, trim your hedges, pull the weeds out of the garden. One person would even clean their gutters for him. Like, if you need something done in your yard, $20.
yeah,
And even if it's just a cut, in and out, fine. Cut, weedy edge, trim your bushes, the works, $20.
yeah.
Like, that was our way of trying to rake in business. And it started off with just me mowing a couple lawns on my street. And then I worked into getting one of my neighborhood friends to like go into business with me. And I literally went on an old school typewriter in the house. Well, old school. It was an electric typewriter, but still a typewriter. And I took index cards, cut index cards in half, put them in the typewriter one by one, and typed out our little name of like J&J Lawn Service. Reach out to this number to schedule an appointment. And then took highlighters, like standard, green, pink, and blue and yellow highlighters,
Right.
highlighted the name like J&J Lawn Service, like each card a different color. And that's what we'd hand people. We'd knock on doors, give them one of our cards. Like 12 years old, handing out business cards for lawn mowing services. And we got to the point where we had like a regular, like 20, 30 lawns a month that we would do, after school and on weekends. So me, like two 12, 13 year olds raking in a couple $100 a week or a month. And we
Yeah,
would just blow it all on like the dollar store and
Pokemon
Domino's
cards.
Pizza. No,
Pokemon cards!
those didn't exist, sir.
Uh,
They should with X-Men cards back then.
uh,
But um but yeah, it's just crazy. Like, that was technically what I consider my first job. And it even got to the point that that was when my mom decided to stop paying me an allowance. Because she was like, "You're making a couple $100 a month. I'm not paying you anything. Just do your chores."
yeah. It's like, "You're almost making
So,
more than I am, goddamn."
nah, not
No.
like that, but still. But it's like, man, you imagine being 12, 13 years old, like going to the dollar store with $100 in your hand, and just all of the
Yeah.
dumb shit we would buy. Like, uh, but
12
yeah,
years old with
so
no responsibilities, you can buy whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, I mean, we ended up taking a big like garden and using like JB Weld to rig it together and stuff, and uh, rigged it where we could mount it to the bar on the seat of our bicycle and pull this wagon behind us on a bike. It's a full blown operation. Uh, so while it wasn't taxable, it was still a significant accomplishment that I did
Yeah,
for several years.
yeah.
It wasn't just like, oh, let me mow a couple lawns this summer. Like, it was a year round thing.
I did the couple lawns this summer. I wanted to take like a trip, and I needed to
Yeah.
make some money, so I went around
Yeah.
the neighborhood, and I mowed yards for like a month, and I had like 6 or 7 like regular customers throughout the neighborhood that I would go to every week, cut their grass.
So you were just cutting for a particular goal.
Yeah,
I was cutting because I wanted an income.
yeah. No, I wasn't trying to do it permanently.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that was technically my first job in my eyes.
I mean, yeah,
Second,
workforce.
yeah. Second job, second or first official taxable income was at some point in time in my first 3 years of high school. A little gray on which year it was, but it was in Edna High School, and they had the standard cafeteria food line, and then they had the like fast food line where you get like
Hmm.
corn dogs, French fries, nachos,
Yep,
chili cheese, tater tots, that kind of shit.
my school had that too.
And it was a little like 5 foot by 5 foot room with a window inside the main cafeteria. Um, but I would work that during my lunch. That was my
Hmm.
first taxable income. It was like got like six, minimum wage, like $5 an hour or something.
Yeah.
But you got free lunch out of it from that room. So
Ooh, baby. Shit, I'd
mm,
have done that. That's worth it just for the free lunch.
yeah, I only got my it was 2 for 1. I only got like because you're only working 30 minutes at a time or whatever.
Oh
So I
yeah,
mean,
but
I
still.
was making like a $30 paycheck, but I got free lunch every day too.
Yeah,
So
that's the deal right there. Easy.
so that was technically my first taxable income job, somewhere between ninth and 11th grade. Uh, it had to be like ninth or 10th, or maybe, I don't know. Could have been all the way up to 11th. Because also somewhere in there, I think it was my junior year, was my third job or second taxable job, was a Christmas tree selling stand. The little stands that open up in like parking lots around
Yeah,
Christmas
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
Except my job was just to load and unload. And so, like, you pick out a tree, I wrap it in like the good night.
Good night,
I,
Grace.
ra- I wrap it in the like nylon string and then put it on top of your car and
Right.
tie it down to your car. But
J-
also, what a lot of people don't know is all these trees come in like refrigerated semi trucks. Well, refrigerated, like freezing semi trucks. So I don't know if you've ever been in a refrigerated truck, but it's
No,
like
I haven't.
walking in a restaurant, like standing ice cooler. It's
Really.
cold as shit.
That's how they
And
transport the
yeah,
trees?
so they're bundled up already, the same way we bundle them up to put on top of your car.
So you have to unbundle them to put them out for people to
Yeah,
look at so
yeah,
you
and
can
then
bundle
rebundle
them.
them. Yeah.
Oh, I'd
So
fucking hate that job, dude.
no. It gets worse. So how they load them is one size at a time. So it'll be like size, say there's 1 through 10 sizes.
They put the heavy
So
ones in the back.
it doesn't matter where they are. When you're the first stop of many, and they put like an entire stack from floor to ceiling of size 1 all the way at the front of the trailer, and then a stack of size 2 floor to bottom, and they do that all the way to the back of the trailer. So there's 10 rows of trees stacked from floor to ceiling.
No. I think I know where this is going.
Yeah, but
Oh,
your
no.
parking lot needs 5 of those, 4 of those, 6 of
Yeah, you have
those,
to
8
unload
of
them
those.
all. and then put them
So,
back.
yeah, so no, not unload them all. You know, me and my other reject friends that just chose to do this job for minimum wage, you know, at 17, climb to the top of the trailer, shimmy our way all the way to the back, and start sliding them forward like a little chain gang
Yeah.
of like 4 17-year-old kids in the top of this freezing cold trailer,
Oh.
sliding trees towards the front of the trailer. I'm like, man, you know, talk about being like wore out, like working a construction job kind of wore out,
Oh my god.
completely soaked in sweat, but freezing at the same time.
That's just, that's hypothermia waiting to happen.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you hop out and start wrapping them up on cars, you know. But yeah, I did that for one Christmas. You know, it was just like a couple of weeks because it was at the mall in Victoria where my mom worked.
What was
But
the most what was the most expensive tree y'all sold?
no, I don't know. That wasn't my job.
Oh, you didn't sell any of
Just
them.
hey, you get that tree
Did
and
you
look
ever
at.
did you ever get to spray the frocking, or did y'all not do that there?
No, it's
Oh.
just unload from the cold trailer, pack them up onto people's cars. That was it. Just a couple hours a night for a couple weeks.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so that was when I was like 17. Uh, Also, at like 17 was when I got my first McDonald's job down in Edna, Texas,
Okay.
and did everything there. And cook, drive through, front counter. A few occasions where I did it all because I was the only person there. I'd literally take your order at the back window, take your money, meet you at the front window as I gather your food and make it along the way from the back to front window and then hand it to you at the front window. Make people think you're playing that twin game or something.
Yeah.
Like, wait, didn't I see you back there? I'm the only one here, dude. I'm 5 people right now.
Yeah.
Like, like that's where you learn efficiency.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, you gotta hand it to the McDonald's too for being able to make the workspace efficient enough to do something like that.
Yeah, and it was only like late at night. Obviously, it wasn't like during rush hour or
Yeah.
something. But so you know, a lot of interesting experiences at McDonald's. Learning, at least back then. I don't know if it's still true now, but it used to be there was two kinds of nuggets. There was a round nuggets and then like S shape or odd shape nuggets. You know, not round. And the the circle nuggets were white meat, and the other ones were dark meat. So you used to literally be able to say like, "I want white meat only chicken nuggets" if you wanted to.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that anymore, but that would be cool.
Yeah, I think it's all just X now. But that was also, let's say, it was a couple of interesting things back in my McDonald's day. It was during Super Bowl, you could order a 50-piece nugget. Um, Also, I think it was like once a month they had kind of like going back into time sale day where you can get I think it was like 10-cent hamburgers or 15-cent cheeseburgers. So like people would come in, order like 30 at a time. That was also back when they had the junior McRib, which I still to this day say is much better than the actual McRib.
I love the McRib, man. I'm sad that they're not doing it at all anymore ever again.
They've said that before, but
That's true. They have said that before.
it still doesn't beat the junior McRib.
What's the difference?
So it's a little like the size of like a chicken fillet patty, and it's just more of like a. So the one they do now is like put a bunch of rib meat and stamp it in a mold and put it on a bun. And the other one was, actually tasted like a hunk of barbecue meat. Like still had the what do you call it? Like chicken. How you can take like strands of meat off.
No, yeah, yeah. Still
So
had
just tasted like real meat. That's all it was.
hmm.
It was put on like a standard hamburger bun. Uh, that's about all I could really remember. I remember that's when I first introduced those like shaker salads, like salad in a cup.
Oh, yeah, they don't even do those anymore.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, that's what kind of enlightened me to like all these bad things you hear about fast food don't really exist. uh, yeah, that's about all I can really think of that's relevant for McDonald's.
Hmm.
Um, I thought I had these in order. I guess not. No, they're kind of in order. So it's kind of a weird thing. Like I joined the army when I was 17 in the reserves. And then I did my first deployment in the reserves. And when I got back, I decided to go active duty. Well, in between that time was, I want to say like age 18 to 19. It's like a 1 year period.
Mhm.
And in that 1 year period, I moved to Oklahoma for one. So I came back from my first deployment, moved to Oklahoma. Tried to, anyway. I started working at Mazio's Pizza, which is just a little, pretty sure it's only Oklahoma pizza place, and doing an internship at Caterpillar, like the construction
Yeah.
equipment Caterpillar company.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I
What were
was
you
working,
wanting to do there?
be a mechanic,
Oh, shit, okay.
because that's what I did in the army, was construction equipment
Yeah.
mechanic. So that's what, like I had finished, my job training. I did my first deployment. I felt like I know how to be a mechanic, and I was just going to continue to be in the reserves and work at Caterpillar. Was my
Yeah.
goal. But I also had the illusion that the GI Bill for the reserves was the same as active duty. Realized that is definitely not true. The reserve gives you like $200 a month for everything.
Yeah.
Like in college is like $2,000 a month.
Yep.
So So I was trying to like work at Mazio's and get grants and funding and stuff, and yeah, it just didn't work out. Worked out terribly, but I still get to work at a pizza place for like 4 months or something.
Yeah. What'd you do at the pizza place?
Made pizza.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't even think I ever worked like the counter or anything. I think I just made pizza, as far as my memory serves me.
Was it good pizza?
Yeah, it's no better than Pizza Hut or Domino's or anything. Uh, but I would work there from like 6 p.m. to like 11 p.m. Come home, do my homework or try to study or whatever because I lived in an apartment in town, and then get up at like 5 in the morning to drive an hour and a half to school. And I do that Monday through Friday, getting like 4 hours of sleep a night, trying
Oof.
to pass my classes and shit. Like it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Uh, but I did get to do a little, like, tiny amount of work at Caterpillar. Like, I worked there long enough to get, like, the quote unquote uniform, which was just like Wrangler jeans
Right.
and a collared shirt that said Caterpillar. And
Gotcha,
that,
bitch.
yeah, and I like was somebody's like helper for like a week or two.
Right.
I was because I was there for like until school started, and then it was supposed to be like do like a quarter, do like 3 months of schooling, 3 months at Caterpillar, and then go back to school and back to Caterpillar.
Oh, so
And
Caterpillar
so,
was like helping you with tuition and whatnot.
no, they were just giving me a job while I get more training. It
Gotcha.
was basically to get like Caterpillar certified.
Gotcha. Okay.
Uh, but yeah, basically they would pay you while you're working there, then you go back to school and they don't pay you. So, but yeah, so technically it was still a taxable income though, even though it was only like one paycheck.
Yeah.
But got to see how more civilian side construction equipment mechanic shops work.
How different?
Uh,
Very different, or not
nah, same shit.
so much?
Same shit, bigger stuff. And then when that didn't work out, like on the way home from school, I saw Walgreens was hiring. And back then, I literally had no concept of travel time,
Mhm.
this place was like 90 minutes away from where I lived. And I was like, oh, yeah, they're hiring. Like, again, I'm an idiot. Fucking like 18 years old. So I pull into this Walgreens. It's like nowhere near my fucking house because I'm retarded. And like, oh, so you're hiring. And they're like, well, yeah, where do you live? I'm like, oh, way the fuck over there. Like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I'm also the manager of the one that's like right near you. We're hiring there too. I'm like, oh, all right, that's even better.
Yeah.
And it was a brand new Walgreens. So I actually like went there when they were still stocking and setting up shelves and everything. Like, so I was
Right.
there from like before it opened to when it opened, and worked there for, I don't know, like 6 months or something.
Mhm.
And I was the photo person, so I worked in the photo center, like developing photos and stuff. So I got to learn how all that works, like from taking your roll of film and then putting it through this one machine and putting it through another, and then we'd have to manually, because I don't know if you even dealt with this back in your day, but you'd actually take like the roll of film and chop it up into like 6-inch segments, and it goes in the envelope that you get your pictures with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a whole ordeal of like looking through like a microscope basically and cutting it on the line, sliding it in, cutting it, sliding it in, cutting it.
That's pretty neat.
And the whole photo process is, you know, kind of like a big ass fucking paper printer. It's just instead of like one cartridge that has 4 colors in it, you have 4 tanks of all the different colors.
Yeah.
And so that was a cool process,
You have
learning.
like a dark red room.
No, no, we didn't do that kind of printing. It was all done in a machine.
Oh,
No,
that's pretty
it was it's kind of interesting. It was like, so you had like a magazine, like a weapon magazine,
right.
and there was like a different magazine for each type of film, and you would literally just like load this magazine, stick it into the fucking machine, and it would pull it out, process it, print each photo, and then put it all like back in, and then I'd take it over to the other station, manually pull it out again and chop it up.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was interesting. Only
How
had
old? How old were you then?
like 18.
18. I had just joined the Navy. My first tactical income job.
So I had what? If you don't count my if taxable incomes, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jobs before you had your first one.
Yep. And my first one was the Navy.
So yeah, the only interesting stories I have with the photo one was like one awkward moment. So first of all, there's a couple rules in case people don't know about photography places. They're technically not allowed to print anything with like nudity or like extreme gore and violence, and shit like that.
Yeah.
Basically, like if it's in a rated R movie, I can't print it for you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like like when you mail something, they're like, "Oh, is there anything hazardous or perishable or anything in
You're
here?"
like,
And you're like, "Nope."
no.
And the same thing, like, "Oh, anything on here that shouldn't be on here?" No, all right, cool. Well, only in instances, shitty instances, if you get something that's kind of like a child, you have to like immediately call the police and whatnot. And at one instance that was kind of fucked up, and like I assume the guy probably didn't have any charges brought against him. It was literally like his kid got like poison ivy or something, and he was just taking pictures of like the rash.
Right.
Nothing bad or anything. It was like a standard like toddler in their diaper kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know. And that picture's just showing how bad the rash was, for like to take to the doctor or whatever. I don't know, whatever the fuck his reasons were.
Yeah.
Seemed fine, but it was technically a kid without clothes, like multiple pictures all over.
Right.
But there was no sexual organs or anything.
Right.
But my boss still made me report it. I'm like, fuck me, you're the boss. uh, Another instance though was one of my coworkers. Like coworkers, I would sneak in their stuff for free, because there was no like real keeping inventory tracking or anything.
Right.
Because all the time the printer would mess up and you'd have, you know, 30 photos come out all fucked up or cut wrong or something, or it ran out of blue ink or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as those kind of things, they just chalked it up as, loss basically from faulty prints. Not that I was giving something away.
Right.
So if I ever could, I'd, when it was like the boss is gone or it's just me or they're on lunch or whatever, I'd knock out a roll for coworkers. And one of my buddies there, like, hey man, can you print this roll? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. As soon as the boss goes to like lunch or whatever, I'll knock it out. And so, like I said, I'd load it into the cartridge, slap it into the printer, and go back to working the counter or whatever. Because it was also my job to like keep the shelves nearby, like front facing. You ever have to
Right.
do that
Yeah. Yeah.
in retail or whatever?
Front the merchandise.
And like sitting there, just doing the facing, cleaning the counter, checking the fluids, whatever. And as these things print, they kind of like print to the top of the machine, slide down a little like slide, and then get pushed over into a holder.
Right.
So you can like see everything that's getting printed as it slides down and gets pushed over. Like I'd look over and there's naked pictures of this dude's girlfriend getting slid down the slide and pushed
Oh
over.
shit.
And it's just like nude photo after nude photo, just slide, slide. I'm like, oh shit.
I'm about to get fired.
So I go over there and like you can't really like stop it per se.
You just gotta put up a
And
just stand in
so
front of it.
no, no, so I went and got like a cardboard box and like laid it over the top so it could keep doing its job, but you couldn't see it.
Did you chew his ass out
And
next time you saw him?
I mean, I didn't chew him out. It's like, dude, you gotta at least tell me so I can prepare. Do it, after hours or first thing in the morning or something.
Yeah.
Shit. But just covered it with a box and it finished printing before the manager ever came back. It's like, geez, dude. Just sliding down naked pictures of your girlfriend for everybody
Was she
walking
hot
by
though?
to see.
Was she hot though?
I don't know. I can't remember that far back. But yeah, so that's the only real interesting thing that happened there. The poor guy that was just trying to take like,
my
evidence of what happened to his kid. And then my dumb coworker.
my grandma on my mom's side, she used to work at like a photo place as well, and she would always get like because she worked in San Antonio, and San Antonio at the time was like the rock capital of the U.S. Right, like that's where all the good rock music was. That's where all the bands were going, and so like she would get customers that would want film developed for all the concerts that they would go to, and it would be like professional photographers and stuff getting like these action shots of the musicians. And so she would always like develop their film and then like make extras for her to keep of like the rock stars and stuff, and then give them to my mom and my uncles. It's like, man, that's pretty
What? I wonder if that's even legal.
cool. I don't think so, dude. It
Because
doesn't sound like
technically,
it.
that's like their personal property.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's legal, but man, it I always thought it was really cool. That it was really awesome.
Yeah. Uh,
I've still got
let's
some
see.
of them to this day. I've still got some of the pictures that she printed out from way back when.
That's a whole nother topic right there. It's interesting how like physical photos are like just not really a thing anymore. Like I have some photo albums, but I haven't developed. Well, I haven't developed photos like that in a long time.
Yeah, I was say I've gotten like digital pictures printed.
Yeah, well, like I have, which is funny that you mentioned that. So I forgot until we're talking about setting up these booths a long time ago when I was trying to. I don't even know if RUM-Gaming existed at the time. No, it had to be because we didn't even buy the printer until after we created RUM-Gaming.
Yeah,
But I talked about like setting up like an example print at like the game shop and putting like this little photo album next to it. And I forgot that I actually got like little uh 4x6 photos of like 30 prints and have it on a little, handheld photo album. I have like 3 copies of it
Hmm.
in the shelf around here somewhere. So that's like the last thing I got printed, and that was like 3 years ago, and that was more for a business thing. And I think before that was for my mom's like 50th birthday, like her like over the hill birthday.
Yeah.
I got like all the photos I had printed out. Same thing, put in a little book. And then the wife got some photos printed to make mini books to put on a shelf. But again, as far as like, hey, we went on this family vacation, let me go get all the photos printed
Yeah.
or family photos or anything like that. Like,
And
no.
it's a shame because like whole industries died when like physical pictures like kind of went to the wayside. Like
Yeah.
Shelby was affected by that. One of her favorite things to do was to make scrapbooks, and like the the company that she worked for, the scrapbooking company, just went out of business because like nobody was printing pictures anymore. Nobody's doing scrapbooks, and it's like she loves doing that shit, but it's like why, you know?
Yeah. It was cool back in the day. Like,
Well, I
there
mean,
used to be a
and some of
thing. You
them,
visit family, they bust out the photo albums. And
yeah, yeah. I mean, and some of them, I mean, they still are cool. Like we're doing a physical photo album for our scrapbook for our Disney trip,
yeah.
you know, and it's like it's neat and nice to have. It's fun. Because I'd rather flip through pages that are like decorated and pretty and somebody put effort behind than just
Yeah.
sit here and look over your shoulder at your fucking phone. You know?
I've always liked the idea or the concept of scrapping. Like, it's never anything I think I would do, but I do appreciate the concept of it because I agree it would be cooler to look through that where you have like souvenirs or something along with it.
Yeah, yeah,
Something extra other than just the photo.
yeah.
Uh, but anyway, so we can try and get down the rest of my list because we're only like halfway through mine.
Just
Um,
beginning mine.
sort of on the same time. That's when I went full time. I went active duty army. Was after the Walgreens job, and I went to Germany and Hawaii, and was a both a construction equipment mechanic, and then turned into like light wheel or wheeled mechanic, and then went from just mechanic to shop foreman. Tons of stories there, but that's for a whole nother time. Uh, Once I got out of the army, my first job out of the army was the manager or assistant manager of a Sears Auto Center in downtown Houston.
I remember that.
So
I
did that
was
job.
still in the Navy.
Yeah, and I did that for almost a year, and they got fired for kind of retarded reasons. I was,
I didn't know you got fired from that job. I thought you just left.
yeah, no, no. Have I never told you this story?
No.
So that building uh, was so every year they do a thing called shrinkage, where they like you do like a store wide inventory. That's where we have those people come out with like the little like calculators strapped to their
Oh
hip,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. I've done
they're like
shrinkage
tick tick tick
before.
tick tick tick.
I've done shrinkage.
Um, so Sears does that every year. They do the whole retail store, the whole automotive side. They calculate every single piece of inventory and then compare it to your actual sales and whatnot. Well, when they did our shrinkage, that store had more loss than the entire Houston district combined.
Oh shit.
So it prompted an investigation. so,
Oh boy.
so they brought in this like guy that could have a lot of choice words for this loss prevention like specialist,
Right.
right? And this guy literally goes from store to store, seeing like how many notches he can put on his belt for getting people fired.
Right.
So they come in to investigate this major loss. And so they're interviewing everybody, going over every fucking thing that looks even kind of fucking suspicious.
Right.
If you didn't dot your fucking I's, you had to fucking answer for it. And so they found what happened. There was a guy stealing like a set of tires a week, one of the
Holy
mechanics.
shit.
So like towards the end of shift when like there's nobody there, no customers, there's only like one person up front like counting the money. This dude was loading a set of tires into his fucking car like once a week for a year.
Holy fuck. That's a
So
lot of fucking money. Like, I know how much tires
yeah,
are.
yeah. I mean, the dude was basically stealing like $1,000 a week
Yeah.
at least. Like,
No, he's throwing the fucking Pirellis on there, bro.
yeah, yeah.
I would if I want to fucking do it.
So that's what was happening, and they found him. But like I said, this guy's the kind of guy that wants to get as many notches as he can. So he's investigating everything. And like we had to answer for all kinds of shit that was like, you know, and from even your time as a mechanic, there's certain things that you do just to get the fucking job done.
Yeah.
There's the right way and then there's the customer service way.
Right.
Where it's like, yeah, technically I'm supposed to charge you for this drop a fucking brake fluid you're short on, but I'm just going to top you off.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Which technically most shops do top off your fluids, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's just some things you just do. You're like, yeah, fuck it. You know. Well, that kind of stuff happens at every shop. A lot of people don't realize that, even though it feels like they're fucking you over, a lot of times mechanics got your back.
Yeah.
Um,
Because they want you to come back.
yeah, because we want your return business. I mean, much like any kind of salesman, we want return business, not just that business. Um, so whenever you go to Sears, you go up, you stand in line. The person says, "Hey, what do you want?" You say what you want, and technically, that person at the computer is supposed to walk out to your car with you, take down your entire VIN number, take the air pressure measurements of all your tires and the tread depth of all your tires, and do a visual inspection of any kind of damages that are obvious so they're not liable.
Right.
Then go back inside, confirm what you want, print out your order, tell you to go sit down. Well, when you're the only goddamn person at the computer and there's 8 people in line,
Yeah.
that's like a 10-minute process per customer.
Yeah. It's like, I don't
Like
have time for
the eighth customer is not going to wait 60 minutes before they even get talked to.
that. Yeah.
So what you do is you just say, "Oh, you're here for an oil change? Just standard oil change, blah blah blah. All right, that'll be this much money. Go ahead and have a seat. We'll take your car, get it done." And then while it's in the shop, then you get your tread depths and your VIN number and your mileage and all that kind of shit.
Right.
Well, the problem is that wouldn't always happen. So you get your whole car done, but nobody ever wrote down the mileage. Well, the problem, the system makes you put in mileage in the lobby.
So people were just.
So to circumvent it, you'd write like 1, 2, 3, 4. And then while it's in the shop, somebody's supposed to update it with the actual mileage. Well, occasionally people would forget. Kind of not a big deal when you're just doing an oil change. Is a big deal when you're getting like an alignment that's good for X amount of miles. So I need to
Right.
know what your mileage started at.
Right.
So we would make sure we did it for the ones that mattered. Like if you got new tires, an alignment, something that has some kind of mileage warranty, we'd make sure we did it on those. If you're just popping out an oil change, it's not a big deal. But according to Sears, though, that's falsifying Sears documents. And that's what I got fired for. Because I didn't update the mileage correctly on several customers' paperworks. They had to let me go or terminate me for falsifying Sears documents.
Love that.
Yeah. So despite the fact that place had made more money in that 6 months period than it had in years between me and the other manager that started, because the main manager started like 3 months before I did.
Right.
The place had made more commercial sales than it's ever made because nobody wanted to take forth the effort. I was actually going from business to business selling tires with like envelopes of like, sales sheets.
Yeah.
It's like the place didn't even have commercial business before me. So it's like, despite all the leaps and bounds I did for that place, the district manager was the one that has to fire me because I'm a manager. And
Right.
yeah, came in. He's like, well, they told me that they sent this to corporate and it breaks the rules, so we gotta let you go. Come to find out, he could have fought for me, but he didn't. So, but yeah, that was kind of like, and that shit's like never left my overthinking head ever since. Every job I've ever been at, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, you really want to break this gray area rule? Yeah. It's like the last time I did that, it's like I got
Yeah.
fucking fired. And you know how fucking retarded it is when something, oh, what happened at your last job? Like, just let go for falsifying documents. Like,
Yeah. It's like that sounds a lot worse than it actually is.
yeah. Like, you don't want to tell them the fucking on paper reason. But when you tell them the real reason, they're like, well, that sounds silly. And you're like, well, technically, it's falsifying documents. Um, but yeah, so that's what happened at Sears. Was I got fired for writing 1, 2, 3, 4 on oil change tickets.
Love that. Love that so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. So from there, I went and became a forklift driver at an air conditioning place in Houston, like home air conditioners,
Right.
stacked, stacked 10 high in a warehouse. So like, I don't know, what is that? Like, how tall is an air conditioner? Like 3 foot?
Yeah. Right about.
So, so like 30, 40 feet in the air is how tall these air conditioners are stacked up.
Hell yeah.
God, hated that job. It's so
See,
fucking stressful.
that was one of my favorite parts of the Navy. One of the many.
Oh no, I love driving a forklift. That's why I applied for the job because I like driving a forklift in the army. But I was never stacking a single air conditioner at the top of a 40-foot stack. I was I was unloading connexes and shit or moving connexes, not
Yeah.
fuck.
No, I actually ended up in the Navy. I did that for about a year and a half. I ended up being one of the or the aviation division like trainer. So like when any of the squadrons needed a forklift driver trained up, they'd come to me. I'd train them up, and then they'd go take their test.
Yeah, I did well. Yeah, I mean it wasn't that serious in the army, but I just had to go over some things with you and then tell the person that puts it on your license that I trained you. But
Oh
there
yeah,
was no
no,
like
you had to like
test.
yeah, no, we had to have like official documents. They had to get like they had to go to like a testing center and like get like the actual
Yeah,
license.
I was the testing center. Sheet of paper with some check boxes on it. Like, yep, I did all the things. There you go. But yeah, so that job was both fun and terrifying at the same time, man. Because what I was doing was unloading trailers. So trailers would show up with
Hmm.
50 air conditioners on it. You get to go put them where they go in the warehouse.
Right.
And like, man, like you got to put that one air conditioner at the top of the fucking stack. And it is like impossible to see whether those forks are level 40 feet in the air.
Yeah.
So like you think you're level, you start backing up, the whole tower starts, whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, go forward, twink it a little bit, try it back up, starts leaning again, like, oh shit, 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 shit. God damn, man. But I worked there for like 2 months or 3 months or something. Never once, crashed anything or anything.
Yeah.
And that's one of those places where you actually go everywhere in reverse at like full speed. So it's interesting. Just a whole warehouse of like, 20, 30 fucking forklifts just but yeah, so that was fun. Did that for a couple months. That was before we came up to Oklahoma. Uh, Came up to Oklahoma, and my first real job in Oklahoma was at a newspaper printing company.
Like when y'all first moved to
And
Bartlesville?
yeah,
Really?
yep. So worked at a newspaper printing company. That's a whole fun learning experience to see how newspapers are made. It's pretty crazy. Honestly, it still seems like magic to me. Even though I worked there for months, I know exactly. Not exactly. I know roughly how it works, and it's like magic. Uh, but that's another crazy job, just printing out newspapers and ads and all kinds of shit, and then stacking it up on pallets, wrapping it up in cling wrap, and moving it off for the truck to take the next morning.
Yep.
I did that it was 12-hour shifts. So I worked from 7 at night to 7 in the morning. 12-hour shifts.
Yeah. Fuck
Fucking,
that, dude.
it was both fun and terrible. And actually, that was when like I first developed like bronchitis, and like I was working there, and imagine the dust
Oh
that's in a
yeah.
newspaper
Oh
factory.
yeah. I don't even think I can imagine.
Oh, you talk about having like a sinus infection and being in that environment. Like I kept a washcloth in my pocket instead of tissues. And like by the end of the night, like I could wring that washcloth out
Ugh.
from blowing my nose. Uh, but gotta pay the bills, man. Like that was at the time when like wife wasn't really working, and like she was working, but she was making like $9 an hour, and I was
Yeah.
working there for like $10 an hour. Yeah, like shit. Our combined income then is as much as I make now.
Yeah.
Like shit. Uh, it's just the shit you do when you're trying to make sure you got food on the table. Uh, from there, and I don't even remember why I quit that job. I think it just said I'm not doing this anymore. I don't even know. But from there, I took like a temporary job with the Family Dollar chain of dollar stores called
Yeah.
Family Dollar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Joined a crew for remodels or resets, where you go around to each store and like take everything off the shelves, reorganize the shelves and strips, and then put everything back on the shelves. You know what I'm talking about? You ever seen
Yeah.
that happening
Yeah.
anywhere?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So did that for like 3 or 4 months or so, going all over the state to like every fucking Family dollar in half of Oklahoma. Uh, that was a pretty fun job. They actually paid mileage and everything. Like it wasn't high paying or anything, but again, putting food on the table.
Right. It was enough.
From there, once that temp job was over, because I saw it was a temp job, until all the remodels were done, and then bye.
Yeah.
Uh, from there, that's when I went to be the body shop helper or prepper. So I went to the local Ford dealership's body shop that was in the back,
Hmm.
and all I did was like the cars would come in to get body work or paint work done, and I was the guy that would like take off all the door panels or take the hood off or
Right.
fender flares, whatever's in the way for the body work or paint work. And then keep a little cup with like all the screws and clips and shit and like the name of that customer on my toolbox. And then get another car and do the same thing and keep all their shit in one little cup. And then like a week later, when the fucking work's done, figure out where all those goddamn screws and clips go back in.
Well, I mean that takes about maybe 2 or 3 times before you really start to just it's all kind of the same.
Yeah, yeah, but still, it's
First couple of times you
like
do it, you're like,
I tell you what, it was definitely several times where there's some extra parts. Right?
Well, hey, listen, that just means you put it back together more efficiently than the engineers did.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting job. So I did that. I don't know, like 6 months or so. I was working at the body shop place, trying to learn some body shop stuff,
Yeah.
and then the master mechanic at the mechanic shop was going on like paternity leave,
Mhm.
and so that his second best mechanic was going to have to pick up all of his work. So they wanted me to come over there to be like the second mechanic's assistant to
Right.
help them get all the work done because they knew I had mechanic experience.
Right.
So I went over there to do that and was learning more about civilian mechanics, doing all that. And they had like contracts with like the hospitals in town, so there was like ambulances and shit all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And did that for like a month or two until he came back. And then instead of like offering me an actual mechanic position, they put me on the lube and tire change side.
Oh god.
But
Fucking lube tech.
but it was to be the shop foreman of that side.
Oh, okay. That's a little
So
better.
I was like, all right, I was like, basically, I was like live applying for it. We're like, we're gonna put you in the position, see how you do, and as long as we like you, you got the job.
Yeah.
Well, that ended up being some like nepotism shit. I fucking busted my ass, turned that whole place around, fixed things, upgraded things, made it more efficient in like the 30 days I was doing it. And then like the main manager of both sides of the shop like hired a buddy of his
Oh, love that.
like off the street, and he's like, hey, you're just gonna be a tech under him. And that douchebag came out. About fucking fought that dude in the shop.
Man,
Because,
my first like mechanic job, I almost fought my manager too.
well, the thing is, I didn't know who this guy was. I'm in the, like, it was closer to closing time, but, still the middle of the workday.
Right.
I'm out there working, and this guy who I'd never seen before in my fucking, I saw him in there talking with my boss, comes out, and he's like, hey, Bob in there wanted me to give you this car needs to get done. I was like, all right, cool. Just thought, he was having his friend pass a message, whatever.
Yeah.
So I take it, and I'm in the middle of something already. So I tell one of the guys that isn't doing shit, because at the time I wasn't getting paid commission for these jobs.
Right.
And so this was a commission paying job. So one of the guys that wasn't doing shit, I was like, hey, you want this job? And he's like, oh, yeah, cool. I'm like, all right, there you go. He goes to pull the car in. He pulls the car in. The same stranger comes back in. He's like, hey, I thought I told you to get that car done. I'm like, who the fuck are you? I was like, I didn't say that. I was like, yeah. I was like, I know. I took it. I gave it to him. He's getting it done. He's like, no, I told you to do it. And I was like, one, I don't even know who you are. Two, I'm running this fucking shop. You don't come here and tell me what to do. And he's like, no, I'm the new shop foreman. I do tell you what to do. So when I tell you to do something, I expect you to do it. Yeah, I quit that day. I
Yeah.
was
I
like,
did
no,
too.
that's how you fucking introduce yourself?
Yeah. My
Literally a
first
motherfucker in civilian clothes coming into my shop telling me what to do, like without even saying, hey, my name is Bob. I'm your new boss. Like, shit.
Yeah.
You gonna tell your story?
Oh yeah. No, so I had I was working lube at a Ford dealership, and the foreman for the quick lane at the time was one of my uncle's friends. Like he was like the like the VP of his, like biker club or whatever.
Yeah.
So, he knew my uncle, I knew him. And so, things were fine for a while, but he just started to turn into a prick. And like everybody that I had worked with had warned me about him. It's like this guy's kind of an asshole. But I was like, oh, whatever. They're just fucking being babies. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, we've dealt with plenty of assholes. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. And so and I was like, and I know this guy. Like I'm not gonna get that same kind of deal, you know. But I was wrong. And I remember one day they were they were celebrating something at the dealership. And they were out like right in front of the quick lane, like in between like the intake and the quick lane, grilling up steaks and stuff, just for lunch that day.
Yeah.
And I remember I was standing. I saw that they were, starting to serve steak, so I was letting the oil drain on one of the cars that I was working on. I was, changing the oil on it, so it was draining. So I had it up in the air, And I was like, "Oh, you know what? They're serving steaks. Let me go over there, grab a plate real quick while this car drains. I'll put it in my toolbox, finish up the car, and then I'll eat my lunch." And as I'm walking over there, I overhear one of the service advisors who's cooking the food, tell the foreman, "Hey, the steaks are ready. Do you want to tell the Quick Lane guys that they can come get some steaks?" And I heard him say verbatim, "Don't worry about them. Those animals can eat last." And I heard that, and I was like, and so I turned around immediately. I was like, "Excuse me, motherfucker. What the fuck did you just say?" Like, I damn near fucking decked his ass. I was like, "Don't worry about them. Those animals can eat last." What the fuck, dude?
I mean, again, it would depend on tone and inflection and whatnot.
Oh, it
Because, like,
was
you could say that as like, nah, they're a bunch of hard core motherfuckers. They'll be fine eating
no,
last,
it wasn't like that.
but
It wasn't like that.
because I could see that, like in the army, like if you're the dirty grunts, you're like, ah, you clean people eat first.
Yeah,
We'll eat last, but we're gonna eat last because we're gonna eat everything that's left over.
yeah, no, it wasn't like that.
uh, that's how it was like in the army as the mechanics. Like, nah, we're fine eating last because everything you don't eat, we're gonna cook everything that's remaining and take that shit home with us. But again, it all depends on what you mean by it, not the words.
But yeah,
Uh,
I quit that day.
so I can kind of slam through the last of my list here. It's actually not much more. So I did DSR uh, as a business internet and VPN tech support agent. Worked my way everywhere from a regular tech to a team lead to writing the documentation to being like a point of escalation to doing training and quality assurance, everything.
Yeah,
And then went from there to the post office for about a year and a half. Realized that how to move up in the post office is an extremely long waiting game, and decided to go back to something I'm more familiar with. Went back to DSR semi mistakenly. Like I really liked the work, just didn't really like the place. So I went back because I was familiar with the work, liked the work, realized I still don't like the place, and ended up where I am now at Insight doing more tier one, like intro level computer and software support. But that's my entire taxable income history.
yeah, mine's significantly shorter.
You want to finish yours real quick? You went to the Navy,
Yeah,
and
so
then you're
I went into the Navy. I spent 4 years in the Navy. Did two different things while I was in the Navy. I did logistics, and then I did aviation machinist mate, which was aircraft engines. I worked on the P-3 Orion. Got out of the Navy, came back to Houston, went to sat around for a little while, just took a little break, about 6 months or so, and then went to trade school, Universal Technical Institute. Did their entire program, including their Ford Fact, which is like the Ford specialization program, and then immediately got a job at a dealership doing lube work, and that was where I almost decked the manager. That was my first dealership job. Um, After leaving there, I had another job within like the same day, um, and I went to a dealership out in Sealy, and that was pretty cool. Because I don't know, I had gotten tired of working in the. I felt like I was better than, you know, I had more knowledge, and I didn't want to just change tires and oil all day.
you felt like you could offer more.
Yeah, exactly. And so I went to a different dealership. They, still stuck me in like tire and lube, but they allowed me to do, when it was slow in the lube shop, which was often because this dealership was out in, you know, the middle of nowhere. Um, I could go over to, one of the techs and kind of learn what they do. So I picked a uh, a specialization that I kind of wanted to specialize in, and that ended up being electrical AC and trim. And I learned from this guy a little bit. He let me do a bunch of warranties and stuff like, warranty work and recalls. So I learned a lot about that. And then I got fired. A new service manager had taken over. They had brought like some guy back that apparently had been, had worked there and done that for, X amount of years ago. So he came back, and I guess he just wanted to make an example and kind of exert his dominance on everybody in the shop because, and a little bit of, who I thought was my friend kind of screwed me. Um, but he was like, "Oh, it's a requirement now. If you're even going to be 5 minutes late, you need to text me and tell me why." And it's like, okay, that's fine. I can do that. Well, wasn't feeling well. I had messaged. I didn't have the guy's number. Right. He wanted everybody to text him, but didn't want to give out his phone number. Right. So I texted my buddy who I knew was going to go in that day, and I was like, "Hey, please tell the service manager this that I can't. I'm not going to make it in today, or tomorrow, whatever the case may be." And he was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. I got that. I'll let him know." So I continue about my day, doing whatever it was I was doing. Whether I was sick, I don't remember. But come in the next day, and he was like, "Hey, you no called, no showed yesterday." I was like, "What do you mean? Like, I have text messages here saying, look, I told somebody to tell you I don't have your number. You never gave out your number." He was like, "No, I told you to text me. You're gone. Bye." It's like, okay. And within 45 minutes, I had my third dealership job working out in Rosenberg at another Ford dealership. And I worked there for the longest out of my dealership time. It was a full fledged AC, electrical, and trim tech. Um, it was cool. I liked it there. The people there were really cool. The guy that my mentor in the shop was a really cool guy. He was man. He dude. The dude knew everything. At least when it came to cars.
Yeah.
He was really really cool. Really really good teacher. And then I just got fed up with it. Like they kept hiring like AC and trim and electrical techs. And it's like, so we got to a point where there were 5 electrical technicians, and there was really only enough work for one. And it's like, so we're standing there in the dispatch office, like almost fist fighting for tickets to make any kind of money at all whatsoever. And I was like, dude, I am working entirely too hard for not nearly enough money. So
I
I,
mean, it sounds like you weren't working hard at all if you didn't have enough
well,
work.
the thing is like because the tickets were slim, when we would have days where there's like 5 tickets, in the box, we'd bust ass because we want to get that job done, grab the next one before the next guy does,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like, so that 1, 2, 3 days a week, I am busting my ass, but I'm not
Well, yeah.
making really any money.
Yeah. So you're either standing around because there is no work or overworking yourself to try and get
Get
the
work.
extra work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? I went into the service manager's office. I was like, look, man, I can't do it here. Unless you can offer me some kind of guarantee, I can't pay my bills. Like, there's just not enough work, and you've pushed me out of work because you've hired all these electrical techs when you've got an engine guy that's backed up fucking 3 weeks. You've got a diesel guy that's backed up 2.5, but you're gonna hire AC and electrical where there's already 3 techs back here struggling for work. And I was like, so I'm gone. So I left, and then I got a job doing sales, which I didn't think I would do. I ended up getting a job at a guitar center, working the guitar department. And my first month there, I really liked this job. This was a really cool job. I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of really cool people doing it. Um, but my first month there, I like outsold the entire store. Uh, and so that gained me a lot of recognition. Eventually, within like the first couple of months, my manager told me that my name had come up in like every single district meeting that they've had since I got hired. And so they put me head of the guitar department, which is where I like to work. It's where I had the most knowledge. Um, so they were having me like set up I could basically set up the whole like guitar section however I wanted. They would tell us like what major sales are going on, and they're like, okay, well you need to figure out how you're gonna advertise these sales and stuff like that. And so I'd set the area up, and it was cool. And then COVID came around, and we all got sent home, and I just never got the call back. Um, so that was tough. But I decided to make the best of it. I ended up going back to school. I went to my computer career to do IT and cybersecurity. I was like, hey, this is a cool job. The pandemic's going on. I can learn about IT, cybersecurity. Maybe I can get a job working from home. Things will be good.
Yeah.
Went to school, did that, um, learned a lot, and still haven't really applied half of it. Well over half of it. But got a position doing independent contracting for uh, QuickBooks into it, like their budgeting and you know bookkeeping suite.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty cool job. It was a pain in the ass because we would as what I would do is I was basically their tier one support line. So when these small businesses would call up, at the end of the year wanting to reconcile all their books, I'd have to walk them through the whole process. And it's like a lot of that stuff, especially, because every business runs and does their books differently, you know.
Yeah.
So when I'm, learning one way that the way that it's supposed to be done for our system, and then I go in to look into what other people are doing into their businesses, and it's like, oh God. you know, so that was definitely an interesting facet of it. And then the cool thing about that was, I was independent contract, so I made my own schedule. I was my own boss. If I didn't feel like working, I didn't have to. You know, um, it was cool, but getting working from home exclusively like that was not as much fun as I thought it was going to be. I
Yeah. It,
learned. I
it
learned
takes some
very.
adjusting.
Yeah, I learned very quickly that I get antsy. You know, um, and so while doing that, I'm just kind of searching for a job, searching for a job, searching for a job, searching for a job. And then I think honestly, I have to say, given I mean, whatever may have been said or whatever feelings may have been had about the job after that, I learned the most. And I remember like scrolling through Indeed, just doom scrolling, in bed, looking for a better job. I find one, hey, custom gaming PC builder on Indeed, and I'm like, okay, this has got to be too good to be true. Like
Like a
this is
yeah.
some
It's either a
bullshit
sign
scam.
or it's bullshit.
Yeah, I was like, this is bullshit, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it. What's the worst that's gonna happen? It's a scam, and I wasted my day going to a bullshit interview. Whatever. And turned out to be true. So I got a job at Apex Gaming PCs, uh, building computers, and moved my way up from there to managing the build department, to then managing the operations of the entire office, to then managing the customer service division, and then eventually quitting. Uh, and that leads me.
Didn't you somewhere in there? Weren't you gonna do something with medical, like sales or
Yeah,
something?
I had wanted to get into pharmaceutical sales. That's what I was when I found the custom gaming PC. That's what I was originally looking for, was pharmaceutical sales.
I swear I remember you saying like you were actually like in the process of being hired or starting or something
Yeah,
at one
yeah,
point. Like
there was some hopeful there that I may have gotten the job, but it ended up not panning out. But yeah, I was looking into pharmaceutical sales. I thought that would be really, really cool. Um,
Yeah, because I remember me and Crystal were talking about you the other day or something. I was like, about how I bounced around, you bounced around to, seemingly like jobs that aren't even related to each other.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was like, I swear Jason even did something with like medical sales or something. But I was like, I don't even remember whatever happened with that. And
yeah,
apparently nothing.
yeah. No, that was something that I wanted to do that I didn't get.
Yeah, I remember you were hyped about that. You're like, I can make this much money and this, that, and the other. It
Yeah,
almost sounded like
those.
some pyramid scheme kind of thing.
Yeah, no, those pharmaceutical sales, they make really really good money. A lot of them will they'll like buy you a car to like drive around and sell the stuff. Like it they make good money.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
that
so
ended up
where
not
did
working
you
out.
end up at?
I ended up at what I'm doing now, which is a company called Percheron LLC. It's a fully integrated project management company, essentially. So if you have an entity or a client, let's say for let's say Comcast, for example, they want to run um, fiber optic through you know out through a neighborhood. Um, they would get with our company and they would say what they want to do. We'd go out, we'd survey, we'd build the maps, we'll do all the leasing, we'll do all the titling, we'll reach out to the landowners, the right of way, all of that. We'd take care of everything from beginning to end. Um, and within this company, we have a database that kind of stores all that information. And that's what I do now is I am the database administrator for this company. One of the database administrators.
It's one thing, well, sort of related, as far as like knowledge base, that technicians use to solve problems.
Yeah.
I'm realizing it's a huge, well, advantages and disadvantages to both. So my like 10 years of DSR, they have one way of doing it that I feel was working really well. Had some things that could improve upon it, much like anything.
Right.
And then I came here and thought it was going to be something similar. I thought this was kind of like an industry standard kind of thing.
Right.
And then I get here and realize it's not.
Yeah.
And it is rough learning curve because basically every problem that comes my way, I have to keyword search for that particular issue
Yeah. I would have
and
to do that.
find an article that has some kind of keyword related to that issue.
Yeah. I would have to do that when working for QuickBooks.
Yeah, it's kind of shitty. I mean, for most things, it's fine. Like once you, I guess it's one of those things. Like once you learn it, then it's fine. You're like, oh, that's that problem. You open up this article. Oh, that's that problem. Let me open up this one.
Yeah.
But when you get the one-offs, fuck my life.
Yeah, they're a pain
It's
in the ass.
like you end up looking through 35 goddamn articles trying to piece together this from that one, that from this one, and you're like, Jesus, man.
Yeah.
And there's no like what I liked about at DSR was they would have docs about a group of things. Like say your example of like Comcast installing fiber in a neighborhood. Well, let's have a doc that breaks down all the different types of fiber. Just showing you here's all the different types of fiber you can run across.
Yeah.
Like just simple like knowledge learning documents.
Yeah.
Training documents almost. Or like training references. And like DSR had that for everything. You want to know about modems? Boom. You want to know about cable, DSL, fiber, Wi-Fi, fixed wireless, T1, T2, T3, like
Yeah.
everything. Here's a training document for everything you possibly want to know that comes across our phone calls.
Yeah.
We got a training document on it. And at this company, it seems like they have some of those, but nowhere near enough.
Right.
And that's where I'm struggling because I like when you're helping customers over the phone, in my opinion, it really helps to be able to visualize what they're looking at.
Yeah.
And if I can't visualize what you're looking at, it makes it really hard for me to walk you through me doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. I know
And
exactly how that feels.
that is a struggle
Yeah.
to the point that I've only been working there, well, essentially with the project I'm on. I've only been doing it for a couple of weeks, and I'm already like making my own documents on the side.
Yeah.
like,
Sometimes you
like,
just have to, man.
well, I'm doing it so that I can then share them with people
Yeah, I
and
was
try
doing that.
and
I was doing that too, at Apex, and I ended up writing like 4 out of the, 5 or 6 manuals that the company uses for the whole company.
yeah. Well, that's what I did DSR for the longest time.
Yeah,
And it's
write
like it's
manuals.
I feel like I'm good at it, and like I
Yeah,
actually applied for one of the knowledge positions at this company prior to the position I'm on, but they had like filled that spot like as I was applying for it.
yeah, I love it when that happens.
So I'm like looking forward to when another spot opens where it's like put me in, coach.
Yeah,
Like this is
it's like, "You wanna see me do some good shit? Here we go."
yeah, when it comes to breaking shit down so that anybody can do it, that's where I excel.
Yeah,
That's where the overthinking brain shines.
yeah, and I mean, I'm definitely really, really, really happy with where I am now. This company is fantastic. It really highlights some of the issues that Apex, had
I mean,
and
it's
reinforced
funny
it a
because you had
lot.
the same conversations a year ago at Apex, but
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. I mean, here's what I'll say. Apex is a very very s- it was a very s- is a very small company, right? There's like 30 or 40, maybe not even nowadays. I don't even think it's that many, but there was 30 or 40 people that worked in the whole company, and that kind of environment has its benefits, but it also has its downsides.
yeah.
And it really just all depends on what you're more willing to put up with, you know.
And that was always kind of one of the downfalls of DSRs. They started off as like a 30 to 40 man company. And then despite them growing to, 100, 200, 300, they keep trying to run it like a 30 to 40 man company.
Yeah, yeah. And at Apex, I feel like was the opposite. It's a 30, 40 man company trying to be run like a, you know, multi-million dollar corporation, you know.
yeah, yeah. It's funny because it's like one needs to act more like a, a bigger corporation. The other needs to act more like what it is.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's one of the, like we were saying in the beginning, is the interesting part about our stream and our difference of views and opinions and experiences. Where it's like we've been, well, on one hand, I got more things than I can put on one resume. Like it also has made me a very diverse employee and person. Where,
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I learned like about especially being in leadership, like I approach the question or the statement like during an interview. It's like, oh well, I see you've been to a lot of different places. How do I know you're going to stay here? You know, I've learned a really interesting way to approach that question, and it's like, well, yeah, I may have moved around a lot, but that means I have a very diverse set of skills and experience that could, you know, very heavily benefit your company. You
yeah,
know,
it's on like almost every single job I've ever had has some form of experience or hardship or seeing things done right or wrong
yeah,
or that just keeps applying forward, you know
yeah,
where I can look back on all these experiences of rights and wrongs and different size companies and different types of companies to learn there's no, it's going to use that skinning a cat method, but yeah, there's more than one way to bake a cake, for a more polite
yeah,
way of saying it, and yeah, I mean, I feel like that helps me so much, like even in this position where it's like I spend 50-50 time of like being frustrated and happy with my current job
yeah,
because I hate being inefficient. I've spent many, many years at DSR being an expert in my field,
Yeah.
It definitely
It takes a toll on
hit.
you a little
Yeah,
bit. Yeah.
it hurts your pride when you're
Yeah.
like every day
You have
asking
to
10
start over.
questions
Yeah.
and
Having
like
to start completely fresh.
yeah. And it's also the diverseness of the tech support industry where it's like almost no one tech support job is the same as the other.
Yeah. And that's what I'm internally struggling with this new job here is like I'm so
Yeah.
used to being a help desk manager that I'm not a manager anymore. And so I have to like tone things down, you know, when I'm talking about, when I'm in meetings with, everybody else and the manager because I'll like, because my
Yeah.
mind is constantly talking about efficiencies and really going like way into things that are above my pay grade, you know,
Yeah.
and I constantly have to tell my managers like, look, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. So if you want to just tell me to
Yeah.
shut up, then shut up. But, da 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 da.
Yeah. I'm the same way with a slightly different problem now because I'm still newer here is I hate throwing anybody under the bus
Yeah.
unless I have to.
Yeah.
And I also don't like complaining unless I have a solution.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so it makes it hard for me where it's like, well, I don't even understand the topic to provide you a solution.
Yeah.
And then there's the times where it's like right now, I kind of got like fast tracked into working because I
Mhm.
was supposed to work for a different project and was
Mhm.
training with that project for like 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden got switched to another project,
Yeah, you were telling
and
me
they're
about
like, all right, well, we're gonna give you like about 4 days of training, and then you're gonna be on your own. I'm like,
this.
oh, okay, sure.
It's like I didn't finish the first training, but all right.
Yeah, well, I'm up for the challenge, whatever, you know. But it was both fast paced, but most of it was just shadowing somebody, but they were rarely having any work. Like they only worked like maybe 5 calls a day.
Yeah.
And so like the amount of work I was exposed to wasn't very much. And once that shadowing was over, I have like a couple avenues to get help. I'm not supposed to message the person that did my training. I'm supposed to go into the group chat, which makes sense for, managerial reasons. Like that way everybody in that chat can learn from it, everybody in that chat can attempt to help, and, everybody's
And
aware of
everybody
what's
in
going
that
on.
chat knows how much of an idiot you are.
Well, yeah, that part I'm not so worried about. Uh, but then I have another chat channel that's just me and like all my leadership, like 12 people in leadership positions above me.
Right.
And that one's supposed to be just for like if I'm not getting help in the other channels or something more like company related or me related, like HR stuff or whatever like
Right.
that,
Right.
scheduling. And so and then I have, of course, direct messaging with other people. So I had a situation where like I posted in the group chat, like, hey, can anybody help me with this problem? Waited like 30 minutes, nobody answered. So then I pinged my team lead, who's like over the team, like to send him a direct message. I was like, hey man, I asked for help like 30 minutes. You got a minute to, or I just said like, hey, do you got a minute to check on that question I posted in chat?
Yeah.
And he was like, all your questions need to be posted in that leadership channel. And I was like, yeah, I get that. It's like, but I didn't want to go into the leadership channel and basically say, hey, nobody's fucking answered my goddamn question or attempted to help me in 30 fucking minutes.
Right. So you're just
So,
throwing the whole team under the bus.
yeah,
Yeah.
nah, I was like, I figured, hey, I'll just be like, hey, man, you got a minute? Like a little tap on the shoulder.
Yeah.
No, but before I could even type that, he copied and pasted my question and pasted it in the channel for me. He threw himself
Oh.
under the bus in the channel. It's like, bro, I was like, I get that's what I'm supposed to do, but I don't like throwing people under the bus. And I look at that as throwing somebody under the bus.
Yeah.
I
Because like,
was like,
although the management's gonna say all day long, it's like, oh well, we won't, think any
yeah,
different.
but
It's
we
like
all know how it
bullshit.
works. Right.
Yeah.
So, now if it was urgent, if I needed help now, sure, do whatever I got to do. But this was just like an offline ticket, handle it whenever, no real
Right.
urgency. But, after 30 minutes, I'm like, hey, can you take a look at that?
Yeah.
But it's funny where it's like, man, here I am, like trying to not throw somebody in the bus, and then the guy throws himself under the bus, and I'm like, yeah, they're killing me. But it's just, again, like the learning how different companies work and different people work, and just simple things of like, where do I post this question? And it's like, never thought it'd be that complicated. It's be like, hey,
Yeah.
can somebody give me a hand?
Yeah.
And then more comical on top of that today, I had a question that I was like, no, this seems more like a let me ask my leadership question. I posted that question at 6:30 this morning. And at like 10:30, nobody had answered me yet. So it's been like 4 hours. Somebody came into the channel to tell me something because like my VPN had disconnected.
Hmm.
So it changed my phone status and I didn't realize it. So they popped in to tell me to correct my phone status, but not to recognize that I
A
had
question.
asked a question that hadn't been answered yet. So then I waited till like noon. It was finally like, hey, somebody have a chance to look at that question yet? Or they're like, it's just funny that they're like harping on me to like make sure I ask on this channel because you'll always get help here immediately. And I'm like, well, it's been 6 hours.
Yeah.
And, anybody got a minute to look at this? And they're like, oh yeah, let me take a look at it. And they're like, well, give me a few minutes to look further into this. And then 2 hours later, I clocked out and still hadn't gotten an answer. So it's like an 8-hour shift, no answer. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. That was one of the things that was really frustrating about working the independent contracting job because there was, we had a chat and a system that we would, do for like support. Like if we can't figure out something, we have a chat that we can go into and we can ask people that will have the answer.
Yeah.
And the problem is like we're on live phone calls,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting here waiting 15, 20, 30 minutes for somebody to answer my question. And it's like they don't give a shit at all how long it's taken. Like, oh, well, we'll get there when we get there. And we'll answer your question when we get to it. It's like, motherfucker, I've got somebody on the phone
Yeah.
right now on hold. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I think that's also maybe it's a me and you problem. The military kind of, but as much as they teach you how to hurry up and wait, there's also like a strong sense of urgency with everything you do.
Yeah.
Or what's that called? Like move with a purpose,
Move with a purpose. That's right.
Like, move with a purpose so you can hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, so I think because of that, we're used to a more fast-paced environment. Same thing with like the mechanic field. Let's
Yeah.
get this shit done so you can get to your next job. Like that's how
Yeah.
you make your money. And then also just with customer satisfaction, like we know what it's like to be on the customer side of sitting there just
Yeah.
fucking twiddling your thumbs, hoping your problem gets fixed. It's
Yeah.
like, again, all these years of experiences with multiple careers, like put us in this situation where we become like impatient assholes, where we're
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
It's like hair trigger. It's like you mess one thing up and make me waste like 10 minutes of my time. I'm coming for your fucking throat.
Yeah. And it's funny because like the we so we have a chat, but it's not to ask questions. It's just to tell them that we've created a ticket for them to look
Right.
at. And so if it's a certain uh, urgency, we just create a ticket and it goes into their queue. If it's a higher urgency, we create the ticket, put it in their queue, and then post that ticket in a description about it in the chat room that we share.
Right.
And then they're supposed to like, acknowledge that it's like, oh, I'll get this one next or whatever. Well, in theory, all the tickets should be worked within like 24 hours. Well, I've had a few awkward calls or like somebody calls in for an update on a ticket that was escalated to that higher group.
Yeah.
and then find out that it was put in like 4 days ago and nobody's even touched it yet. And I'm like, uh,
Let me stop you
well,
there real quick. Scriptdog, thank you very much for the subscription there, bud. 8 months. He says, "Don't you scruffy boys have jobs in the morning?" Yeah, we
yeah,
do.
yeah, we're well past it, but we're
Yeah,
having a good talk.
having a good talk, good conversation. So we're letting it run a little late.
But yeah, this is interesting. Like, I don't even know what to say in those situations because I'm just the middleman.
Yeah,
All we do is just hand it over to him,
yeah,
and it's almost, in a sense, almost feels worse than when you're on the phone because I'm used to being on the phone like a DSR, where I'm like, no, I'm staying on the phone until this gets fixed,
yeah,
like full till it's resolved service at the other company. This one, it's all about getting off the phone like as fast
yeah,
as possible in a
yeah,
sense. And then like, and to be in this situation where like I can't even like say, hey, did y'all get this yet? I just have to be like, well, I'll post a note in here asking for an update. You want to try and call back tomorrow?
yeah,
And they're like, but it's been 4 days. You said it'd be 24 hours. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's what I said.
yeah,
It's like, I don't know. Like, there's nothing you can do to escalate. I'm like, that is the escalation.
yeah. It's like it's already been
Oh
done, man.
no.
I'm sorry. I probably feel like I probably seem like an asshole right now, but
Yeah.
I'm doing the best I can, man.
Because I get it. Like, I've been on the other side where I'm like, the fuck you mean you can't do anything? Nobody in that company can help me? Like, they
Well,
can.
actually, yeah,
But
there's a lot of people that can. They just won't.
yeah. But you can't say that.
Yeah,
It's just like you have to like make up like gray area excuses. Well, yeah, sometimes they get busy and
yeah.
it is kind of first come, first
Well,
serve.
the guy that manages this department, he's on, he's out for the, week or whatever. He'll be back. You know,
Yeah. It's like, God, I hate being that guy trying to like
yeah,
backpedal.
yeah.
Like, you're not trying to be like, hey, shit happens. Sorry. Suck it up, buttercup.
Well,
But
that's the nice thing of being in help desk that I am now is I'm internal help desk. So all of the tickets that I get, I don't deal on phone calls, but all the tickets that I get are people that work for my company. So it's like I could
yeah,
just tell them to, they know everybody. It's like, look, Lori is fucking, dragging her feet about this. What
yeah,
do you want me to do? You want it done? Go to her office. It's right down the hall.
yeah.
Like,
No, this job I'm doing is almost similar to DSR as far as my customer base. It's one customer, but they're all over the entire nation.
yeah,
So it's interesting. But yeah, uh, I do have one honorable mention before we end our stream like an hour late.
yeah.
My honorable mention, my untaxable income job was a very, very brief job, but it was uh, fun. I got the privilege of being hired by it's retarded. This was down in Port O'Connor, Texas.
Hmm.
Little bitty 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 coastal town, like has like a single pump gas station slash grocery store
Right.
in town, and like that's it. And the owner of the grocery store slash gas station was looking to hire, you know, dumbasses like me and my buddy that were living there to tear down a 2-story house by hand. So
Let's
literally,
go.
yeah,
That
it
sounds like
was,
the best
yeah,
fucking job ever.
yeah. He was gonna pay us, like just $100 flat. Like I give you $100
Just
to
go in with some
tear down
fucking
this.
crowbars and a sledgehammer and tear
Yeah,
a
that's
fucking
all it
house down.
was sledgehammers and crowbars. Take it down in whatever pieces you can, drag it off to this pile, and burn the pile.
Holy
So,
shit, dude. That's fucking awesome.
oh, yeah, that's what we did for like a week. Buddy, tearing down this fucking house. And what we did was we started on the top floor. we sledgehammered like all the walls and drywall, cabinets, whatever, until it was just studs, right?
Yeah.
And then we had a third buddy. Well, buddy is more like friend of the grocery store people, but we knew
Yeah.
him. He had a little like pickup converted into tow truck with a big fucking like winch cable on the back.
Okay.
And we would take the winch cable, drag it up to the fucking second floor, wrap it around like 20 fucking studs, hook it together, and tell him to gun it. And watch that fucking cable tighten up on all those fucking studs. Just doof, 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 doof. And then we go climb on top of it, punch a hole through the roof with a sledgehammer, and then feed that line through the hole and then under the roof and out the side, hook it up together and drag off like a quarter of the roof at a time.
Holy shit.
Shit was crazy. Just like $100 under the table to go ham on a 2-story house with some sledgehammers and a winch cable.
Yeah, that sounds like the best summer ever.
How many nails did it take to build a house? A lot.
I want
A
to say,
million.
I'm gonna say how many nails. I'm gonna take an honest crack at this. I'm gonna
Well,
say.
again, depends on what size house, but I'm assuming you're talking about just your average, like say 1,500 square foot
Does that
house or
include?
something.
Does that include like roofing nails for like the
Yeah, like
shingles?
shingle nails,
Yeah,
cabinetry nails,
yeah. Or do you mean like just the nails for like the wood foundation?
like the frame.
Yeah.
If you're talking about just to put the frame together,
How many nails? Okay, to build the house, I'd say in the range of like 7,000 to 7,500 nails.
I say like 500,000. You ever watch some of these Well, I guess I'm thinking of like drywall too, where they're just like ka-ting, 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 ka-ting. That's all you hear for like a week straight. Ka-ting,
Yeah,
ka-ting, ka-ting, ka-ting.
yeah.
Like, shit, more like 7,000 a day.
Yeah, you're probably
All right,
right.
I'm curious if this is a joke or some kind of factual thing.
Yeah, you got anything to back this up?
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna end our stream on. So it
Because
better be
because
good.
because if you don't, then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna count every nail on this damn house and I'm gonna give you an answer.
Need to hurry up, Scruff.
Posting is a question for us.
Oh, just a random question? No answer, no joke, no nothing?
Just something
Killing
to
me.
think about.
Now I gotta look. How many nails to build an average house?
Yeah, now we have
Or just a house? Here we go. When building an average size house that is 1,200 square feet, there are approximately 12,000 nails that are used.
12,000. Hey, I was closer than you were.
Yeah. Again, though, that doesn't really specify whether you're talking about just the frame or what, but
How many nails does it take to screw in a light bulb? How many?
5.
10? Because you have nails on your hand?
Yeah. 5
5?
nails.
Yeah.
3 or 2 if you're talented.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we're gonna end the stream now that we're 53 minutes over and
Yeah.
started 5 minutes early.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? It's a good night for content, all right?
Yeah, unless you have any honorable mentions of under the table jobs. You
No,
used to
not
do
really.
some shady shit for your uncle. But...
Well, it was never shady. He would always
always out in the sun, huh?
yeah, he would almost quite literally, yeah. No, he would always pay me to come and do landscaping and just random odd jobs around the house. I learned how to be
Didn't you like wash his cars and stuff?
Yeah, I detailed his cars for his limousine business for, on the weekends every once in a while. And that was cool. He always paid well. Still does. Even though I don't ever take his money. He always wants to pay me and I never let him.
Just, who paid me the other day? Oh, coked up zombie. His lawnmower was fucked up. brought his lawnmower over. You know,
Hmm.
like I said, I used to run my own business. I always say I learned how to repair them back in the day.
Yeah.
Uh,
What kind of
brought his
businessman would you
lawnmower
be if
over.
you didn't?
Yeah. So he brought his lawnmower over, and of course it was when it was like 110 goddamn degrees outside.
Of course.
But I still get out there next day because he came over for like dinner and brought it with him. And then next day I went out there, fixed it, and I texted him. Joe was like, "All right, everything is running like a champ. You're good to go." And I was like, that'll be $5. Like, dude, or Zelled me $20.
I said,
Like,
man, I said five. What the hell?
yeah, I was like, for one, it was a joke. Two, I said five.
It's like,
I
so you're
sent
wrong
it back to
twice.
him. Yeah. It's like, come on. It's like it took me like fucking 5 minutes. The only reason I even said $5 is because I used like half a can of brake cleaner and like filled his gas tank up.
Yeah.
So you owe me like $2 for brake cleaner and like $1 in gas.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was funny though. Really, actually sent me money. I was like, bro, come on, we've been friends for like 10 years. I never charged you for anything, and all of a sudden you think I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like, but anyway, yeah. So that's your only under the table job, is Johnny.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
What about DreamHack?
Well, we don't talk.
But we just established we do at the beginning of the stream.
No.
So
Well, I'm establishing that we don't right now at the end of the stream.
I don't agree.
All right. Well, it looks like we're split decisions, so we just have to go with the more logical one, which is not talk
I don't know, man. Just because it's not safe for stream doesn't mean we can't talk about it.
about it.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up. I don't have any real closing notes.
Yeah. No, me either. Dice will be Dice is on the horizon. So
Yep.
get
And
excited for that.
yeah, as soon as you get better at it.
As soon as I get it figured out, we'll have our own custom dice made. I'm
Did you
working
did you
on.
have any to show today of your works in progress?
Yeah, I'm on the very last sanding step of a full complete set here. So I'll show off some of them that I've finished already. I haven't colored in the numbers yet, but I've got like this really pretty. I don't know how well the camera's gonna focus on them, but aquamarine and gold. I have this one. You're really not gonna be able to see, but it's like blue and purple. You're not gonna be able to see the purple in there. It just kind of looks like a blue blob. Um,
Yeah, it just looks like solid blue.
yeah. I've got this one, which is like a light green and a light blue, but again, just looks green in the camera. And then the very first set I made was this one. It's like a blue and white. I don't, Shelby wanted these colors, and so I tried to make them, and they came out okay, but I can do better. So
Yeah.
the color was off. Yeah, I simply put, I can just do better. So,
Still though, I mean, for your first couple attempts, they're looking pretty good.
yeah.
At least color wise,
Yeah, I'm really happy with them.
Yep. Now if I can just, cut down cost on this resin printing, we'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that I printed dice?
You No, you didn't.
I thought I'd mention on the live stream. I don't even know where the hell they are.
But yeah, thanks for everyone for tuning in. Make sure
Yeah.
you follow us here on Twitch, subscribe to our YouTube channel. This will be posted later on the
And I'll
YouTube
try and
channel if you
find
missed any of it.
the dice for next week because I have no idea where they are. I don't even know if they're in this room.
Yep.
So,
Follow us
yeah,
on Facebook. Check out our website. Come link up with us in Discord. Play some games with us. I've been playing. If anybody has been keeping up, I've been playing Dark and Darker. It finally released on early access after a pretty shaky situation. So a lot of us weren't sure if it was going to even come out at all, um, due to legal reasons. I'm not going to go too much into it, but they released it in early access, so that's super exciting. I've been playing that a lot. So yeah, if you
haven't
played,
you also been playing Baldur's Gate 3?
yeah, I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3. It's fantastic. It's really really good. I think I'm really excited for the next upcoming 6 months or so for games. There's a lot of really, really cool stuff coming out. A lot of really stuff that's out now. So yeah, come check us out. Come hang with us. Come play some games, and we will see y'all next week. Have a
Yep,
good night.
next weekend, Monday and
Yep.
or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, not next week.
Tomorrow.
See you tomorrow for my
Yep.
stream.
Yep.
Almost
Tomorrow for
forgot.
Ghost. And then, like Monday, Scrivdoc, our friend Scrivdoc down there in the chat, does a wonderful wrestling broadcast. So make sure you tune in for that as well. And y'all have a good night.
All right, see y'all next week.